and chat. How's it going, guys? Welcome to something special today. A few of us, my stream crew, are going to get together and we're going to talk about the games we played this year, what we liked, what we didn't like, give our Game of the Year calls, and, just generally shoot the breeze about video games for the next few hours. I'll bring everybody on call now. Hang on.
Like a good character. It's just
Hello.
that they don't really
respect him.
I mean, they do in some ways.
Yeah.
But not enough. It's just a weird case. Like Frontier is basically like 4 different plots trying to be the main plot in a trench coat, getting in each other's way. Hi, Lore.
We're talking about Digimon.
We didn't see you there because I have the stream muted.
I said hello.
I heard somebody say hello, and I don't think I processed it. Anyway, hi. Do we need to introduce ourselves? We can introduce ourselves.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and all things above and in between. I am Obsessive Reader Love, and I will be one of the hosts today while we talk about this year in gaming. I'm excited about it, and I will go on many a tangent because that is who I am.
All right, you're up, Danny.
Well, I'm Blue Mage Danny, or Dyson, or whatever, it's all good. One of Law's oldest friends, and I am riding on everyone's coattails. Hello!
And Teddy?
Hi, I'm Teddy.
Hi, I'm Daisy. Anyway.
So, we also have Minda coming on later. He hasn't shown up yet. I don't know when he will, but he'll be on eventually. You guys may know him from Minda Reads, or as part of the fan community. It has been a while since he's been on the server. He's been dealing with his own fan community for a while. But, yeah, he's a good friend too. And he's part of the Final Fantasy XIV stream crew. So, today's been a pretty good year for video games, hasn't it?
Today has been a pretty good year?
Yep.
Did I say today? Did I say today? I thought I was saying this year. Well, this year has been a pretty good year for video games. Why don't we start with what we started the year with? I'll go first. This year, I started halfway through Persona 5 Royal, which was an absolute delight. Blew me away with how good it was. I wish that I had played this game right when it came out. Now that I've finally played it, I don't know why I never did. I owned Persona 5 Vanilla that I got back in 2017, and I just never played it. Which is weird, because up until I replayed Persona 4 this year, it was my favorite JRPG. So I started Persona 5 Royal in November of last year, and it carried me through 41 streams worth to the second half of January this year. And it blew me away. That's my favorite JRPG now. It's, without question, the best one I've ever played. It's just wild to me that I didn't play this before. How about you guys? Who among here, aka all of you, is a fan?
I mean, obviously, yeah. I was hoping that you wouldn't actually wind up going with what was the first game you played this year, because that is not a question I know the answer to. But if we're talking about Persona 5, I can get up on my giant soapbox. I'm sitting in my chair right now. It's not really a thing that I can mime or anything, but holy crap. So I could talk about Persona 5 for literal hours if you let me, so don't let me.
I won't let you, don't worry.
But anyway, I love every single one of the kids. They are my children, and I want to wrap them all up in a big blanket and sit on top of them. I want to murder basically all of the villains brutally, but I want them to be paraded around and humiliated much more. So God bless them. I have a whole lot of world-building thoughts.
It kind of sounds like you want the opposite of God blessing them.
No, I meant God bless the kids for humiliating them.
Ah, gotcha.
Fair enough.
And I mean, like, you know, as long as they're in jail and they can't do anything, I have a lot of complicated feelings about prison in general, but we don't have to like talk about that.
Yeah, not the subject of today's stream.
Yeah, like there's a lot of interesting social issues. I recently watched a video detailing how like every single one of the non-royal, the not monarchy is his own separate situation, but all of the other palace rulers are actually sort of based on real people in like a couple of different ways.
Huh.
They do the, hey, we're not, this isn't based on real people. So like it's they're amalgamations of a bunch of different people, but they are commentaries on actual existing trends. And it was a very interesting video. Apparently there's like Matarame's confession was based off of like a politician who was similarly hysterical in an apology over some scandal, and apparently like all of the issues that they represent are genuinely bad situations like that Japan is having to deal with. And I'm not going to. There's a reason that Masayoshi Shido's name is what it is. It's like the fact that Shido sounds like the name of a certain politician who was in power when the game came out is not a coincidence.
Gotcha.
Like there are actual like parallels that you can draw between like their freaking election posters even, which is very funny.
Oh,
but
he's meant to resemble the one that the Yu-Gi-Oh creator hated?
Wait, the Yu-Gi-Oh creator... Wait, was the Yu-Gi-Oh creator connected to this? I'm trying to remember, because I remember that was like a thing that happened this year, and we don't...
The one that has the meme about the birth rate?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, him. I assume that's who we were talking about.
Yeah,
the Yu-Gi-Oh creator hated that guy's guts.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, there's also, like, commentary similar to how Ace Attorney is a commentary on, like, the legal system is at large. Persona 5 has aspects of that as well.
Oh, definitely.
So, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and honestly, the fact that Persona 5 exists and is popular is kind of wild, given how completely it spits in the face of, like, 80% of Japanese culture. Like, it's kind of wild to think, like, how completely avant-garde this must be in a lot of ways.
I wonder if it's more popular in Japan or in the West.
It's weird, right? Because, like, it was made for a Japanese audience. Like, it was specifically referencing a ton of Japanese stuff. Go ahead.
I will say that any piece of media that exists and heavily criticizes a political philosophy can, if it's created in a sanitized enough way, be successfully ignored by the people whom it describes, because they simply will choose not to see it that way.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's still kind of wild though. Like, it's very explicit, like, about, like, even just the like, fuck stupid adults idea. It's very like that's not even that's kind of like not something you most adults want people to say in America, and we're supposedly extremely like, individualistic. And whenever people say that, I'm like, I guess compared to certain other cultures, but like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I grew up in the South, but
I also think that a lot of people like attach individualism and resistance of authority figures under the same bucket, but America exists in such a way that our like political and socio-political landscape persists in such a way that we heavily push both individualism, and also on a wide scale there's a lot of you should always listen to authority because yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
We're getting a little political here, yeah.
Game, like, Persona 5 is so inherently like, commentary on the world that maybe we should like move on to a different game.
Yeah,
So,
probably. How
my
about you,
memory
Danny?
is-
Oh, sorry.
No, Danny can go next. That's fine.
No, you spoke up.
Curse. My memory's rough, but the first game that I have kind of stamped into my memory this year was I finally got around to playing Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When did that actually come out? Was it at the end of 2021?
Yeah, it was like
was
November
early December.
2021. Oh, early December 2021. Yeah.
Which
Well, if we're going to talk about Final Fantasy 14, I unfortunately am going to have to like.
Well, I
space
mean,
out
I
the whole
also
time.
can't talk at too much length about it because spoilers. But man, that game walked up to me and said, "Hey, you like me, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, I love you." And then it like kind of put its hand on my shoulder and said, "I am going to make you rethink your entire life philosophy."
Yep. You ain't seen nothing yet.
And I was like, "Oh, okay."
I
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a good game.
Endwalker made me go through like four boxes of tissues in a very short amount of time.
I look forward to getting to it.
Tears
Hold on, I
aside,
gotta
it
look up
just
something because
it hits hard, it hits heavy, it makes you ask and answer some really big questions, not like in game, but just while consuming it, it kind of makes you consider some stuff and think some stuff. And I feel it also kind of similar to games like Celeste in a sense. Not only does it present to you the space in which to evaluate certain things, it also kind of implies a toolkit towards you that you can use to cope with certain things. And I appreciate it when games and media in general provide that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I was kind of specially hit at one point because of the events at a certain location that I had been role-playing my character as being from since the patch content of A Realm Reborn.
Wow.
So it was just like, hey, you know this place that you now have a specific, really heavily built-up connection to, that, and it feels like a second home. Have fun. Yeah, that was quite the experience. But yeah,
I don't have any, like, literally, I'm just sitting here like,
Fine.
I sure am not good at playing MMORPGs.
Well, hey, it'd be good. You should give it a shot, honestly.
I mean, I've played other ones, like, I tried it when I was, like, still in school, and that wasn't really a good time to do it, but, like, I can't even commit to mobile games.
It's
Play them for a month, and then I'm like, okay, time to move on to the next one because I just forget to keep checking.
I mean, it's an MMO for people who don't like MMOs, honestly.
Yeah, it's very linear.
Very story driven, and it's they even have systems in place now, so you don't actually have to use other players in pretty much everything except for Stormblood right now, and that'll be sorted soon.
Huh.
But
I mean, I don't really play a lot of multiplayer games in general, so maybe? I don't know. I don't know. It's not really something that I have a ton of interest in, but if only to, like, play with you guys, maybe, just because it would be cool to have a community about it, but...
Yeah.
You'd be welcome to. It would take you a little bit to catch up, but
we'd be happy to join you.
But fortunately, a lot of the game's single player anyway, so...
Yeah, I will say, before I played Final Fantasy XIV, I thought I didn't like MMOs. Now I have over 9,000 hours, and that's not me memeing, that is literally where I'm at.
Damn. God, I'm trying to think, like, I don't know what I was playing at the beginning of the year, but, like, the first game that I remember coming out would have probably been either Legends Arceus or Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. And I'm just trying to think if those were the two ones, or if there was, like, because those are both in January, so, like, whatever I was playing before then would have been something that carried over from last year, but I don't remember what I was playing at the end of last
I
year.
think the idea
you
is
kidding me?
less exactly the game you played at the start of the year and more the first one that really left a big impression on you.
Well, then I guess we should probably talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Hell yes, I love that game. I had a really good couple of years with Pokemon because new Pokemon Snap came out, and that was my favorite Pokemon game. And then Legends Arceus came out, and then that was my favorite Pokemon game. And then Pokemon Scarlet came out, and then that was my favorite Pokemon game. It's just been ramping up in my favorites for years now, and I am eating good.
Pokemon's great, man. Like, when Arceus first got announced, right? I was like, God damn it. We're really doing this. We're really doing that. God damn it. Because I didn't play Breath of the Wild. I know it's good. I know that people like it. I know that it's like a good step forward and everything, but I like my linear video games. I'm a stupid, I'm a simple bitch who likes hallways. I like Final Fantasy X. I liked Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that's like a series of hallways, and I thought it was a pretty fun game, all things considered. So I'm just sitting here like, I don't need giant open spaces in my Pokemon game. Just give me good Pokemon, cool characters, and a story that isn't awful. And even if the story's a little bit awful, I'll probably be okay with it as long as the characters are good.
Yeah, even if the story in a Pokemon game is bad, it's still Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, it's still fun.
But then, you know what? I have to look up when I was playing Shin Megami Tensei 5, because I think that would have been the end of last year, the beginning of this year, because I got Shin Megami Tensei 5, and I don't even remember why I bought it. I was just like kind of interested in it because the protagonist is a long-haired pretty boy, and I'm like, I can get behind that. And you know, like I think Lore was getting into like Shin Megami Tensei 3 or 4 or something, like for a little bit. Like he was trying to play that game. And then like it was coming out. I gotta look up when it came out because it probably was a little bit earlier in 2021, so I gotta look this up.
I think it was like quarter 4.
November 11th.
Okay, so yeah, that would have been the last thing I was playing. So like when Legends Arceus was first announced, I was kind of like, and then Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out, and I was like, you know, like this is fine. Wait, did those come out before Legends Arceus? I think they did, right?
BDSP came out in November of 2021.
Right, yeah. So like BDSP would have come out, and then I would have played those, and I would have been like, this is totally fine, but everybody's gonna hate it. That's fine.
But guilty as charged. I didn't finish it. I didn't like Gen 4 already, and I didn't like Gen 4 this time around, and
I like Gen 4, but I don't really need another Gen 4 because it's pretty much just a wholesale remake with nothing new.
The only thing about BDSP that makes me kind of eyes emoji about it is what they did with the Underground, but then I'm like,
Underground is great. Yeah. And I think that it's like kind of laid the foundations for like, they basically were trying to do the wild area in like a weird different way, and I feel like it kind of actually like worked really well, honestly. And I think that it was a pretty cool idea. I just wish that it was like a little bit more random and it wasn't the same every time. But like other than that, I think it's like a really good idea. And I was really upset that they kind of neutered contests because I love contests. But the Grand Underground was pretty fun otherwise, so I didn't mind it too much.
But then Legends Arceus came out.
Yes. So here's the full story, right? I played Shin Megami Tensei 5, and I don't remember why I played Shin Megami Tensei 5, but like after Legends Arceus was announced, and I was like, I'm gonna play it because it's Pokemon, because I literally it's impossible for me to not like a Pokemon game, even when like everybody else hates it. See BDSP. So I'm gonna play it because it's Pokemon, and I'm going to try it, and like everybody else in my family wants it anyway, so we're gonna get it, and it's gonna be fine. But I don't think that I'm gonna like it. And then I played Shin Megami Tensei 5 just because I was like, I want to play as the cute pretty boy, and I played it, And Shin Megami Tensei 5 is actually basically the same game as Legends Arceus. Like, not actually in terms of gameplay, but in terms of, like, structure, it's very similar. You get set off to a series of very large open areas that you can explore, but, like, they lead you in a direction, and there's, like, a thing at the end, but you have a bunch of different branching paths and lots of space up and down and all over the place to, like, find little collectibles in and all these other things.
It's what Sonic Frontiers has been referring to as open zone rather than open world.
Yeah, so it's got like it doesn't feel like you're just thrust into a giant place where you can go wherever you want. You're like in a direction, and you have a lot of like things that'll branch out from that direction, but like you have a way through it. And I found myself actually really enjoying exploring Shin Megami Tensei 5, and I was like, wow, this is surprisingly fun. The story's not great, but it's actually a really fun experience. And I wasn't expecting that.
I'm really glad of that being sort of the route that open world stuff has been taking lately, because most open world games I find have systemic issues that just prevent me from being able to enjoy them properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sheer amount of open worlds where it is just barren. There is nothing to do besides walk to main goal after main goal, but it's just taking time to get between areas, with occasionally you get attacked along the way, and it's just like
even the really good ones like Spider-Man 2018, it's just barren. It's the same encounters over and over and over along the way, and it gets boring really fast. Spider-Man 2018 was carried by the story, which was incredibly good.
At least with Spider-Man games, the method of traversal
is also fun, yeah,
of itself. Whereas a lot
makes you feel like Spider-Man. I'm sorry, I had to get one in there. I had to get
yeah. A lot of open world games, the open world is basically just an extended loading screen. Like you're effectively just waiting to reach the next area. It's a very elaborate loading bar.
So,
which is not the case with, I'm presuming, SMT5, and definitely not the case with Legends Arceus, because everything in Legends Arceus is something. There's Pokemon all over the place. There's tons of Pokemon in each area that are native to each different part of the area, and the fact that you can find shinies anywhere means that there is no wasted time. No waste. Every Pokemon you see is important because it might be something special. So traversing Legends Arceus is easy and straightforward. So getting from place to place to look at all these Pokemon is easy and straightforward. And there's just a lot of variety to the areas. It's definitely much better as an open world than a lot of straight open world games are, in my experience.
It's true that Pokemon being Pokemon does help with that, just because, like, you know, especially the way that Arceus handles it, like, you're trying to catch Pokemon in various different ways. Like, you need to see a bunch and catch a bunch and fight a bunch to basically complete the story. So it works. Legends Arceus is really good.
It also really good. It has my favorite Pokedex in the series because you're actually doing different things with your Pokemon. It's not just I caught it and it's in the Pokedex now and I'll never look at the entry again. No. You have research tasks that you have to do with the Pokemon, and they can get very grindy.
Yeah, I was gonna say they feel a little excessive sometimes, but
they didn't
like the variety of like activity.
They didn't nail how grindy they are properly, but I think that if they do another Legends game, they really should do another Legends game because it was so good, and exploring and catching Pokemon felt so good. The mechanics of catching Pokemon and interacting with Pokemon in the wild are my favorite in the series, are my favorite in the franchise.
I will say that I like it as its own thing. I don't want Pokemon to be constantly attacking me. I mean, like, even in Sword and Shield, Pokemon would like run at you a lot of the time, like even more than they do in Scarlet and Violet, right? Like they only sometimes run after you now. And like probably some of that is just to because of how annoying that kind of is to a certain degree, and that's not the tone they want to go for.
Yeah,
when
they
you're
spawn a
exploring an
million
open world game.
Pokemon, and they don't want you to be constantly mobbed, so most of them just watch you and form the audience of your battles, which I think is pretty cute, actually.
That is also very cute, yes.
Mass outbreak of stuff like Cyclizar, though, is so funny.
Yeah, that does seem like it would be funny.
That sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yes.
I've never seen a Cyclizar outbreak.
Funny to
I've
see
seen a couple
people
of them,
experience.
like on the map, but I haven't ever gone to them. I haven't really done a whole lot of outbreaks. I've only done a couple.
I caught a shiny Glimmon at an outbreak today.
I got 2 shiny tadpoles from an outbreak the other day.
I went to all the trouble of breeding one for Lore, and you could have just given him one. That makes me feel kind of...
I
Well,
appreciate your
text them until
gifts,
after you
love.
bred them.
Yes.
I like how we accidentally steeped our way into talking about Scarlet and Violet.
Well, we'll get there when we get there, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Part and parcel of talking about Pokemon, but we'll get to Scarlet and Violet eventually. Don't worry.
Mhm.
Aye,
So,
I think it's probably my turn to talk about the game I started with this year.
Oh yeah,
sounds like a plan.
we got.
Which-
Hold up.
Yeah, which is a mix between Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Final Fantasy 14. Since as mentioned, Endwalker came out in December, and I got SMT5 from my grandma for Christmas. I also got Bayonetta 3 for Christmas this year. There is a lot of sacrilege in my Christmas presents.
That's very funny. I mean, SMT5 doesn't have to be sacrilegious. You can also be, a good Christian. Technically, sort of.
The first thing in the original trailer was Lucifer going, "Your God is dead." Like,
Well, yeah, but like you can be the player who brings God back. Sorta. It's more that you make another angel god.
no,
but it's a
well, I've not
complicated
finished
system.
it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't even actually get to the end. I'm probably forgetting exactly how it works.
But yeah, the big thing that kind of started at the start of this year though was me and a friend decided to form a team to get together to do the Savage content in Final Fantasy 14, the hardest content besides Ultimates, and we've been progressing through the Savage fights bit by bit over the year with the groups that we've made, and honestly that has been an absolute godsend because it's given me a schedule to actually not have all the days just blend into one another, which very much has helped with the period of mourning I ended up going through when the person who I always played 14 with passed away in February.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. Danny went through a lot this year.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
it's been rough, and I can explain off stream at some point if you like, but it's probably not the best place to trauma jump.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a bit dark anyway.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
between getting the static together to do these though, and also between you starting to play, it's been a big help. I've had other people to play with now.
Glad I can help, man.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I am. I can't wait for it to get better.
Yeah, I mean, you are a hair's breadth away from finally reaching 3.0 Heaven's Ward. Like, you've just got to get through the 2.5 content now.
I think what I'm going to do on Monday is do the New Year's stuff, and then do Hildebrand, and save 2.5 for a Saturday when we can get a whole stream crew together and actually do whatever dungeon or trial is in it.
Yeah, sounds good. Although, if you do finish Hildebrand early enough, you do still technically need to finish off 2.4.
Oh yeah, we'll do that too.
Yeah, we have a Huayu to deal with.
Plyu. Oh, man. That's been an interesting experience playing Final Fantasy XIV. I've never played an MMO that I actually enjoyed before. I'm not, like Love, I'm not much for multiplayer games myself. I like single-player, story-driven experiences, or really good gameplay. Like Path of Exile, I've played for thousands of hours, rivaling Danny's. I've got, like, 7 months of accumulated in-game time across all the characters that I still have undeleted over the last 8 years, and that's been my favorite game for a while, but I don't really play it for the multiplayer. I play it to go fast, kill monsters, get loot. The multiplayer is incidental to it, and that's the most multiplayer game I play. I do like the balance I've found playing Pokemon alongside you guys on the server, where
That has been fun, yeah.
where we trade back and forth and help each other with the Pokedex, and sometimes do raids together, and trade shinies, and that's a good level of multiplayer for me. Just like playing alongside people, like a cat.
I mean, that's been one of the
Like a cat.
that's kind of been one of the things that you found with 14. It's basically a single player game except with friends,
Yeah.
which is a good balance.
And it's been fun to get a crew together every Saturday to do dungeons and stuff. It's an interesting game. I like it. We've been over my feelings about A Realm Reborn, so I don't feel the need to belabor the point that A Realm Reborn is just kind of okay. But
Yeah.
Like
There are
14
players that feel more strongly against a Realm Reborn than you do, so it's all good.
Yeah, basically everything you disliked about A Realm Reborn, we entirely anticipated that because they get fixed.
good.
Yeah. I will say though, I've been really thinking lately about how it's really hard for a lot of Final Fantasy fans to, they're watching someone play through and they can't spend more than 2 minutes without saying, "We promise it gets better. We promise. We promise." Like, it actually gets good at episode. Like, okay, yes, they know.
Yeah, it's like the new voices heralding a wave of quality throughout the entire game.
Hey, Minda.
Hello.
Hey,
I was
man.
looking at the schedule. It said 3 p.m., so I came in at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Wait, I did?
Yeah, the schedule did say 3 p.m., but I was just
and
rolling.
you
know what? I'm awake
like,
now. That's fine.
like I said, I was under the understanding it was going to be 8 o'clock my time until you said today it'd be 7.
That
I
was
had
my
no
bad. There was a
idea because I wasn't
miscommunication.
looking.
There was a
I was
miscommunication going on.
looking-
I thought Teddy had said 2 was fine, and so I had that in my head, but I guess I wrote 3 on the schedule.
Yeah,
So that's my bad.
yeah. And then I'm always asleep before the stream starts, so I wasn't around to, like, see Discord go, "Hey, come on now." I'm like, oh, well, okay.
Well,
Anyway.
you
Morning,
got in just before we moved to the next major topic, so you're just in time to say what your first game of the year was.
First game, and one of my favorite games of the year, was probably Vampire Survivors. That came out, like, way back in, like, January, February.
Yeah, that is a really fun
Or at least it, like, hit the internet hard in February.
You know what's really funny, Minda? That was my that's been my last game of the year. So
Really?
I just now got into it. Yeah.
I tried it, and I didn't get anywhere, and I ran up against the roguelike problem where I don't really enjoy roguelikes all that much. So I got frustrated with the progression system fairly quickly and put it down. But even I think that game is really good. And as an indie production, it's amazing. It's incredible that they've gotten so much traction off of a $5 game. Actually, isn't it like $3?
Yeah.
It got bumped up to $5 once it hit. It got bumped up to $5 once it hit like 1.0. But yeah.
I've seen a lot of mobile games knocking it off as well. But I don't really think of it being a roguelike game that much. I think
I
of
was
it more,
gonna say, I feel
it's
like
more
it's
like an arcade game.
Damn it, Danny! I was gonna say
Yeah.
that for the past 5 minutes. I kept trying to say things to start speaking, and then you roll in, you bulldoze through. Yeah, I feel like it's an arcade game with roguelite elements, and that you like improve. You like. It's kind of like what if like you got more features of the game in the same way that you get more like power in a roguelite, which is a very interesting approach for the game to have.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mix between roguelike and the way that a lot of arcade machines have time locks on unlocking characters back in the 90s.
And just like glancing at like the wiki very slightly, I'm like, oh, this game has a ludicrous amount of content that it doesn't really tell you up front about, and it just says, oh yeah, go ahead and find it if you want, haha. Like.
I love the description of it as basically being a bullet hell game where you're the boss.
Yeah, it's like reverse bullet hell is the term I have seen thrown around a lot because, by the end of a run, you are just throwing out so many projectiles.
It's almost a shame that Stray came out this year because otherwise I think Vampire Survivors would have gotten the indie nod at Game of the Year.
Oh yeah, probably.
And I'm not going to complain about Stray, because I fucking adored Stray, but it is a shame that it kind of swamped out all the other good indie games from this year, like Vampire Survivors and Tunic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, I look at the Vampire Survivors wiki, and it's just like, oh yeah, it just offhand mentions, oh yeah, there's a player character called Missing No One. I'm like, there's what? And then I'm like, okay, I glanced at its page and I'm like, okay, I want to stumble upon unlocking this myself. I don't want to look at the unlock method.
See, I can't play games like that. I always want to know, I want to know exactly how to go about every single thing in a game so that I can be methodical and not feel like I'm stumbling around lost. And the thing is, it's not even me wanting to be a completionist. It's just me wanting to be methodical about doing the things in order. But because of that, if a game is really sucky to complete, I want to know about all of the different things and I want to do all the things in a game because I want to be efficient. And so if a game has too much shit in it, then I just don't play it because I can't be efficient.
Yeah, I get that.
Fortunately, it seems like the game really has enough, you can see, oh, here's an order of achievements I can go for, and each of these achievements will unlock something in the game. And so there's a whole list of those. And so I feel like there's enough of those in front of me that I don't need to look up how to get the secret ultra unlock characters until much later than I currently am.
Yeah, the game is very good. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the game is very good about using the interface to direct you that way because there's the list of achievements that basically tell you what to do. And then there's also, in the item menu, there's, the big list of question marks with all of the items that you still have to unlock.
As well as how you combine them to get the super weapons.
Yeah. And so you just sort of, look around on the menu long enough. And it's oh, I have to do this to unlock that. And then I'll get 100%.
Oh, go ahead, sorry. Did not mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. At one point, and they've kept adding things since then, but at one point I did have every single thing unlocked in that game, and then I stopped playing it because I had everything unlocked. But they have unlocked more of it, so I should go back to that at some point and see what else is in there now, because there is definitely more stuff in there.
How many characters are there?
A ludicrous amount. Over 30.
Yeah, there were 20 when I was playing.
Yeah, and didn't they start off with 3, and they just keep adding more and more.
So is Missing No actually the Missing No sprite, or?
No, it's how do I put it? It's if you took the context of what Missing No is in early Pokemon and you applied it to Vampire Survivors visually.
Huh.
So it's as if it's cobbling itself together from visual data from Vampire Survivors that shouldn't be used and cobbled together in the way that they are being used and cobbled together.
Cool. You know, I wonder what the legality of using Missing No in a game would be, because
Missing No isn't
Missing
trademarked.
number.
Missing No
Yeah, it's
is trademarked?
It's not trademarked.
Oh, it's
so
not
it's
trademarked.
perfectly legal.
Yeah, like, it's a glitch. It's not a real thing. It's garbage data, expressed visually. And
Pokemon doesn't even really acknowledge it.
Yeah, there's the pareidolia I get with that, where I see half a face.
Yeah. I've been imagining lately creating a funny little fake mon loosely based off of stuff like Missing No, and just making it be like a nasty little Eggman, just named Bad Egg.
Nice.
With some sort of like, oh yeah, breed a Togepi, or breed something from the Togepi line holding the Porygon Z evolution item or something like that.
I was going to say, it sounds like a Nega Togepi.
Yeah.
That would be very silly.
But yeah,
I mean, God, it's interesting because like Pokemon Sword and Shield had like 4 different evolutions that were like, why did you make it this way? But, like, in a good way. To me, I loved them because I'm just like, I see Pokemon as embracing the truck myth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nothing will top the Squid, where you had to physically turn your 3DS upside down.
Inkay and Malamar, yeah.
See, like, I learned about that the minute that the game came out. Like, I didn't find it that weird because I don't know. I thought it was really cool, but I always thought it was fine. It was just sort of normal. Although that might be because one of my friends, when I was in high school at that time, came up with like a different Squid Pokemon before the game came out, and like it was a ghost ? Type. That had that like its ability was that it changed its ? Type to whatever was super effective or resistant to what it came in against. Which
That
honestly,
had,
at this
blue
point, like,
abilities.
that was like its ability. It was like. Which honestly, thinking about it now, is not that far off from like a couple of the abilities that we have now. Like
Honestly, it sounds like a preemptive version of Kecleon.
a little bit, yeah. It would be adjacent to that, like between that and Conversion or Conversion 2.
Yeah, or Protean.
Yeah, Protean is basically the inverted color change. It's Kecleon's hidden ability and everything. Like it's more associated with Greninja and now Meowscarada. Yeah, blanked on the name. But originally in Gen 5, it was just Kecleon's hidden ability. It was like, hey, would you like color change inverted? And like my friend was actually like that friend of mine was always like, yeah, I want to use a Spinda with Contrary, and I want to use Kecleon with Protean because it's very funky and cool and weird, and I like weird Pokemon. He was one of those kinds of folks. It was
Oh, poor Spinda. May we ever
was,
see you again. Wouldn't it be nice?
I have a shiny Spinda, which is like the rarest possible Pokemon ever, because they all look unique.
Yeah.
So speaking of Pokemon, did we talk about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet yet, or did I miss that?
No, we talked about Legends Arceus. And we tried to avoid talking too much about Scarlet and Violet because when we get to the what is the most recent game you played, that's going to come up probably.
Mm-hmm.
That may be the next topic, actually.
Yeah, because I have a different game than that, so if you guys want me to talk first, then I would like to, because my most recent game is not Pokemon, something completely different.
I actually have another game to talk about that I was reminded of by the discussion of Vampire Survivors.
Go ahead.
Earlier. The game 20 Minutes Till Dawn. It is one of the many, many games that were inspired by Vampire Survivors. Relatively short. This one's a bit more of an active bullet hell, I guess. Not so much in that you're dodging bullets, and more in that you're shooting and aiming. And I feel like it executes it pretty well. Playing Vampire Survivors, I can definitely tell a lot of the places that they took inspiration from Vampire Survivors in making it. But it's a fun, charming little game. It's got very 8-bit visual graphics, and it definitely has a little bit more clarity of communication than Vampire Survivors does when it comes to what's happening. But it's a pretty good game. It's charming. It's not as brawling as Vampire Survivors is, but it's a fun little game.
Ironically, because I've talked to people who have shopped around the Vampire Survivor clone game, because there are a bunch of those. The Vampire Survivor clone genre.
Survivor likes.
The Survivor likes. And the best one, according to people I've talked to, is the Hololive.
Oh yeah,
skin.
They did a Hololive Vampire Survivors-esque?
A fan did, yes.
Oh, a fan did,
yeah.
It's called
Hololive.
Yeah, Hololive, yeah. It's actually pretty good. It's fun. I feel like it's lacking a little bit of depth of content when it comes to actual play variety, but it's got a lot of the girls. It's got a lot of their weapons. A lot of the enemies are references to memeable moments or the fandom, and it's very good. And also they add one very interesting mechanical addition to the formula, which is the strafe button. Because in Vampire Survivors, you have weapons like the knife, especially. That are directional, where they just shoot off in whatever direction you're facing. The strafe button in Holocure allows you to strafe and aim and move independently of each other, and that's kind of the best way to do that without just actually making it a twin stick shooter, which it would be if you added too much mechanical complexity to those games. But it's of all the things to successfully rip off Vampire Survivor, it's the VTuber parody clone. I will say
that I have a question about these kinds of games, because this is kind of a weird situation. I watch a lot of gaming countdown creators who do top 10 yada yada in video games. And I've watched a lot of the ones that I've watched for 10 plus years almost at this point. And so I just whenever somebody says roguelike bullet hell, I'm just wait, that one game, Binding of Isaac? Is that, I've only seen little bits and pieces, but that's sure what Binding of Isaac looked like to me. All I know is that game is very dark and creepy and horror-ish and stuff.
I don't think Binding of Isaac is creepy. I think it's Newgrounds poop humor, scary shock value.
Yeah, there is entirely too much scat for me to be able to play it.
Yeah,
it doesn't. Yeah, and it doesn't take itself seriously enough for me to actually consider it creepy, because it'll gesture towards edgy, dark things, but then it's just okay, we get it.
Yeah, it's mostly just edgy.
Yeah, I'm okay, I understand the context in which you were made. Can we move on?
It plays well. It's not my thing, but it plays very well. There's a reason people like it so much.
Oh yeah,
but they don't like it for the edginess. They like it for the gameplay.
Yeah, and it doesn't even necessarily commit to a lot of the edgy topics it picks.
Yeah, I just bring it up because the gameplay that I saw of it sounds like what y'all are describing, and so when you guys were describing it as describing all these games as Vampire Survivor likes, I was wait, aren't there other influences at play? Probably is
the main difference gameplay wise is that with Vampire Survivors you don't actually press anything to attack; you just do it automatically. So literally, your only control is just moving up, down, left, right, and just watching your character attack. And then you start getting more and more upgrades so that you throw out more and more projectiles.
I'll also say that
it is incredibly simplistic game, and that's kind of the charm of it.
Honestly, I'm surprised they haven't ported it to mobile, because it would be the perfect little game to just if you're out and about waiting for something, just play it.
Well, I mean, they haven't ported it to mobile, but there are a
lot of mobile clones. I've seen adverts for it.
Also, I will say that I've noticed that for some reason, a lot of games that take inspiration from other games pretty transparently and like vocally are still being described as like ripoffs and clones in the modern age. But I think at least a lot of the Survivor likes I've played aren't like ripoffs. They're just, hey, I really liked Vampire Survivors. I made a game. You can like, I'd like a little money for it, but this isn't like shovelware so much as games used to be,
I've seen one on Facebook that gets advertised a lot, and it is very clearly just. I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd just stolen code. Like all the weapons and everything were in the advert were just identical to the ones in Vampire Survivors.
Oh, we got a Craftopia situation here.
Oh god. I'll also say that like Binding of Isaac is roguelike structured in that you are exploring through various rooms and discovering the randomized layouts of a stage and navigating that, while Vampire Survivors is like, here's this stage, it's almost always shaped this way. There are specific items in the stage here, here, and here, and the roguelike element of it is in how you build your character more so than like the roguelike element of what you're navigating in Binding of Isaac.
Makes
In the
sense.
end, they end up
Somebody
being
in chat
very
said
different.
they did port it.
Interesting. I'll have to have a look on my.
Well, I wouldn't get anything out of that because I hate playing on touchscreens. Oh, my
I'm
big
so
meaty
sorry.
sausage fingers.
Get a bigger phone. No, I'm kidding.
I have very large hands.
It was a joke.
Oh yeah, there it is. Vampire Survivors. I am.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, that.
Well, there you go then.
And Haven has a point. Has a point. It kind of reminds me of the amount of people that anytime they see like a platform fighter, to say, "Oh, it's ripping off Smash Brothers." When one, it's the same, just because it's the same genre doesn't mean it's a rip-off. And two, there were games like that before Smash Brothers existed as well.
Yeah.
I wonder what came before the original Super Smash Brothers that was in the same genre.
There was I can't remember what it's called, but I have seen a SNES game that was very similar. Even with like the like it wasn't focused on knocking enemies off the arena like Smash is, but it was still a platform fighter, and it still had changing environments. Like at one point a helicopter would come along, and you could use that as a platform as an example.
Yeah, one thing I can think of is like I remember the mini game in like Super Mario 2, I want to say, where Koopas were coming at you and you had to like knock off the Koopas and throw shells at each other.
Oh,
Remember
you're
that
talking
minigame?
about Mario Bros, which was originally an arcade game.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the same genre.
it's close
feels
though. Well, I
very-
mean, the thing you all have to remember is that like you're old. You specifically are old, and Super Smash Brothers is older than you think it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
1996,
so you
right?
do in fact have to go back to the arcade to think of something that is older than Smash Bros.
No,
I
yeah,
am sorry to
understand
inform
that.
you of this, but it is a fact.
Yeah, there is a stage in Smash Bros that is literally just Mario Bros, which is fun.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's charming.
And I mean, to be fair, you've got both the NES era and the SNES era to go back to as well. And
Yeah.
admittedly, I don't think going back to the era before the NES would have been powerful enough to have that kind of system. I mean,
Probably
not.
not.
To be
Yeah.
extremely reductionist.
yeah,
But, like-
platforming was considered a marvel back then, let alone platform fighters.
But like, let me just walk you through this. Like, Kirby bosses.
Oh yeah.
Like, not to be like, oh, Sakurai made Kirby games and then he made Smash Brothers, so clearly there's similarities. Oh, like Subspace Emissary is just Sakurai making a Kirby game with every single Smash Brawl fighter.
Oh yeah.
It's like
It kind of is. It kind of is
it
just
is,
a
I've
Kirby
always
game.
thought that. It's
I mean,
a very good Kirby
if you
game.
look at-
It gets really funny in Smash Ultimate where he literally is just porting in Kirby bosses.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you look at Smash Bros. Brawl, that's just the Great Cave Offensive with The subspace
Pitching the
emissary.
characters, yeah. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
the-
like the
the-
storytelling style. is
Anyway,
the
we
same.
are not talking about games from this year.
Anyway,
I know
yeah,
this.
you're right. We should
Yes.
move on. So most recent game we played actually is tied to the topic because my last played game was Kirby. So
Yeah.
we should talk
I
about
hear
Kirby.
really good things about Forgotten Land, but
It's amazing.
Wasn't
Like,
there also like the Kirby Mario Party game? Or was that a separate game, or was that the,
Oh,
like
you're
a
talking
feature?
about Dream
Dream Buffet?
Cake or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dream Buffet I haven't played, but the Dream Buffet is people were actually calling it Fall Guys with Kirby.
Okay.
Like I haven't played it, but I can see the comparison. But it seems very fun. There's a bunch of different like multiplayer Kirby games. There's like a Super Kirby Clash, which is like a free-to-play RPG.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember if that was two separate games or if that was a mode within the one Kirby game.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Super Team Kirby Clash has a soundtrack that it goes off. I love its soundtrack.
I haven't played Kirby Fighters 2 either, but the story mode of that game involves DDD and Meta Knight like going off to try and like they get possessed by an evil mask.
as they
to
do.
try and they want to like prove that they're stronger than Kirby together, but like they haven't worked together in any prior thing than that. But like they like call each other partners and shit in this game. I think I don't know a ton. Also, Kirby can't read. That's like a whole other situation. The Kirby Fighters 2 is just Super Smash Brothers, but with Kirby. I mean, it's not. You have health bars instead of trying to knock people off the stage, but you know, it's adjacent. And instead of a bunch of different characters, you have a bunch of different copy abilities, plus a couple of different characters. Because Magolor is just like skyrocketed in popularity. He's just like everywhere now. He was like the merchant in Kirby Clash, in like Team Kirby Clash. Like he sold you the free to play currency, and like he used those free to play currency as bombs in Star Allies.
I
and
can't even
everything.
tell which Kirby game we're talking about anymore.
Anyway, I'm gonna talk about Forgotten Land. Anyway, so let's talk about Forgotten Land. So I like when I first heard about 3D Kirby, I was like, yeah, whatever. It's Kirby. I like Kirby. Kirby's fine, but I'm not like hooked on it or anything. I'll get it when Christmas comes around and it'll be fine. And then one of my Countdown creator people that I talked about released here, I'm going to talk about every single copy ability in Kirby Forgotten Land, because there's only 12 of them, so I'm going to rate them from worst to best and gush about the game and gush about all of them. And I saw that and I was like, holy shit, this looks amazing. This looks like it plays so well. And then so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to buy the game. And I bought the game, and oh my god, it's so fun. Like, I've played Kirby games. I played a ton of Superstar Ultra. I have Star Allies. Star Allies is not like a really good Kirby game. I didn't play either of the 3DS ones. I hear those are really good, and I'm excited to get Return to Dreamland Deluxe because I didn't play the original one, and I hear that one's also really good. But I played Superstar Ultra like a whole bunch, so like, that's one of the really good ones, and I liked it fine, but I was never like crazy about it. But holy shit, Forgotten Land is amazing. Kirby just feels so perfect in 3D. Like, I went to Star Allies, and like I'm seeing all the things that I saw in 3D, and I'm like, oh, that translates to 2D really well. And then I'm like, wait, no, I have that backwards.
Yeah.
I wonder.
It felt so natural in 3D. It's just like, oh my god, I'm running around, I've got a sword, I can spin around, I can throw bombs everywhere, and like every single copy ability in the game was fun. And like whenever I played a Kirby game before, there were like 3 abilities that I liked in any given game. Like, I like playing with the yo-yo because everybody likes yo-yo and it's really cool and really big hitboxes. But like, fire is fine, it's like functional, you get to be a fireball. I never liked ice, but I went back to Star Allies a little bit and I'm like, okay, maybe I didn't understand how good ice is. Ice is pretty good, and in Forgotten Land, ice is phenomenal. But like, cutter's kind of boring, sword is kind of boring because you get it all the time. I like hammer fine, but it's so rare that you never really like stick with it because like there's something else cool. I'll be real, my favorite copy ability is wheel, because I'm that bitch.
None of these words mean anything to me, but I'm glad you're excited.
Okay, so Kirby's a platformer, obviously, and like usually
I played Smash Bros, so I get the gist of Kirby eats people and steals their ability. But it's like, okay, so there are power-ups, I get it, but like...
Yeah, so like
Okay.
there's like generally like 18 to 24 depending on the game. Forgotten Land only has 12 because it's a 3D space, and they're like evolutions to each one. So
Yeah.
like so really you have like 3 times 12 is 36 different like stages of stuff to play around with, and they're all really interesting. Like the differences are really cool, but like the ones like there's a lot of really, but it's all like the really basic, like bomb Kirby. Like he takes out a bomb and he throws it, and it doesn't do a ton of damage, and it's kind of hard to like aim it because like you like hold down the button and you can adjust the trajectory, and you can't really just like throw it immediately. But in this game you can just like bowl a bunch of them everywhere and just cause devastation, and it's amazing.
You know, I wonder.
I also like Forgotten.
I wonder how much the developers of Kirby and the Forgotten Land looked at the Sonic series to get warnings for how not to adapt their 2D series to 3D. Because I love Sonic Adventure 2. It's
fantastic.
It's probably my favorite Sonic game. But holy shit,
like
Sonic did
that
not
much.
make the transfer from 2D to 3D very well.
I think he blew it out of the park initially. It's just
I
think
think
Adventure
Telling me that
Adventure
Sonic
2
had a
is
rough transition
fine.
into 3D.
Like, here's the thing, right? My favorite Sonic game is Sonic 06. I'm not qualified to talk about Sonic, but here are my thoughts on Sonic. Unleashed and Colors are both really good. Generations is also really good. I think that Sonic does fine in 3D.
absolutely.
I don't actually like Adventure or Adventure 2 that much, but I think most of that I just don't think they've aged very well. That's just my own personal thing. I just don't think that they've aged very well, and I appreciate what they did, and their stories are interesting. But
I can agree that Adventure 1 didn't age too well, but I think Adventure 2 aged fantastically, especially if you go for all A ranks. When you start to really understand the systems at work and the physics, it just becomes something transcendent.
See, here's the thing. Like, I played some of Adventure 2, and then I got to a part in a zone where I was like, I was running through, I was like exploring a little bit, and then like there's this like giant platform off to the left of me that I don't even know I can interact with, and then there's this line of rings, and I'm like, I don't have the light dash. What? Huh?
Question.
What? And
Question.
Then so on
Here's
this
a question. Has anyone played Sonic Frontiers, the Sonic game from this year?
Yet.
I have
Yes,
not, but
I
I
have.
want to.
It looks really
I have never been a Sonic person. Like here's my Sonic experience. Every few years, a Sonic game will come out that actually gets my attention, which is rare. Most of them don't. And I will play it for like 20 minutes, and I will say, boy, this doesn't feel as good as whatever the last Mario game was. So in this case, it would be like Odyssey, but like back in the day, it's like, wow, this does not feel as good as Super Mario World. And then in the 90s, it was like, wow, this does not feel as good as Mario 64. And then I put it down, and then a few years later, I try again, and the same thing happens. And so that's kind of been my experience with Sonic this whole time.
I have never.
But like what I've heard is that like Frontiers is like, I mean, it's not as good as Breath of the Wild, but like the Sonic fans seem to be happy with it, so good for them, I guess.
I mean, like,
You're
I
a
don't
little
know,
close to the
Breath of
mic, Minda.
Wild, but
And the music slaps. I have heard some of
that's
the
normal
soundtrack for
for Sonic
Frontiers.
games.
Yeah, there's almost no bad Sonic soundtracks.
Yeah.
But I really want to try Frontiers. I've watched bits and pieces of playthroughs. Like, I watched the first part of Snapcube's playthrough. And it looks fun. It's finally... Sonic needed an open world environment because he moves so fucking fast that you really need space to run around. And the Sonic games have never done that before. Like, they've given you tracks to walk on, and they've given you small enclosed spaces to run around in, but they've never done...
Unleashed does this a little bit, but it's a little bit it's a little bit different. Obviously, like, See, the thing is, right, I have always preferred Sonic gameplay to 3D Mario gameplay.
Oh, same.
Like, that's, like, it kind of depends, right? Like, I have never really been able to get into Mario 64. I've tried, like, a few times, and it's just a little bit weird. But, like, I played Mario Sunshine a whole lot as a kid. Frustrated the hell out of me, but, you know, I liked it fine. But, like, I would play Sonic 06 over Mario Sunshine. But, like, again, I am so heavily biased in 06, in 06's favor, I'm not qualified to talk about Sonic in most cases. But, like,
06 was released around the time of Galaxy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't play Galaxy. I didn't play a lot of Mario games. I was not really a Mario person.
I think Sonic 06 is interesting in that it has some really fascinating narrative beats to me that kind of assemble into a story about various ways of, like, coping with, like, failure or disappointment.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, like, Silver
like,
is my son, and I would literally go for him. I would fucking raise the earth.
Have you seen that project that people have been doing where they're basically porting 06 to PC and, like, fixing all of its physics, and people are like, wait, this game is actually good when it's not bursting at the seams.
No, yeah! I mean, seriously, like, I will even go to bat for Princess Elise. Like, I know that's not...
I like
her.
She's a fun character.
Like,
I mean, Project 6 is great, but you really can't salvage the story. I'm sorry.
No, I disagree. Like, I mean, you know, like, I'm pretty forgiving of furry shit anyway. I'm just like, whatever. They're both clearly people. They're just shaped differently. Like, that's not a big deal for me. I don't give a shit about that.
Oh, I don't object to that. I object to the way that romance is handled over the course of the game, which is not great.
I would have preferred it if it wasn't a romance, but I do like Elise's character.
I think that Elise is fascinating. I think that she's got, like, a lot of interesting parts to her, and, like, obviously the story is not, like, always structured perfectly, but I think that her whole idea of, like, I can relate to, like, being told that my emotions are not valid and that I should, like, try to behave in a certain way at all times because, you know, if you're reacting in anger or in sadness or in whatever way, then that's just causing harm to everyone. It's actually, like, a really meaningful metaphor because, like, you need to be able to feel your negative emotions sometimes. And it, like, even if it seems like it causes the actual end of the world, it's still worth it. And the positive emotions that you feel can still help you overcome the consequences of your negative emotions, even if you mess up a whole lot. Like, I feel like it's a really meaningful for it. Also, Shadow the Hedgehog is badass as fuck in the game.
Everyone loves Shadow.
I was about to say that Sonic 06 is probably the last time Shadow actually got written well until his DLC in Forces.
Yeah, like, I mean, we can talk about Forces another time. I don't have the brain space. I haven't played it even. I've just seen it and I'm like, oh my god, they did this.
Oh man.
But anyway,
yeah, so, Kirby good.
Yes, Kirby.
Oh, how far are you in Kirby in the Forgotten
Land? I've beaten it. I 100%ed my file.
Did you like that twist at the end of the main story?
Oh, I loved every bit of it. I actually got a little bit spoiled. Like, I watched a full review of the game because I was like, so how does this, like, shake out? Because, like, I don't care about spoilers. I'm like, so it was, because, like, I watched the countdown video and I'm like, oh, okay, let's like look at a little bit more of this. And then I watched Ant Dude's video on it, actually, and like, he went over everything and I'm like, wow, this actually looks really fun. And then I had the money to spend on it and I'm like, Merry Christmas to me. And so then I blew through it and I 100%ed it and it felt so good. It felt so good every single step of the way. Like, the only things I didn't like were trying to not get hit in the bosses because I am way too aggro to do that, but I managed it even. I even managed it eventually, and I'm like, holy shit, it was so good. It was so good. Like, the final, like, the true final boss was kind of a pain in the ass because, like, you have to go through the entire gauntlet, and, like, you don't, it just has so much defense and HP that it's hard even with, like, the strongest abilities to, like, feel like you're doing a ton of damage to him, and you have to keep, like, dodging his attacks and everything, but it is very satisfying it was really satisfying to, like, figure it out. Like,
My only like rough edge that I have with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I don't know if it even counts as a rough edge, is that I found that when it came to boss fights, it was generally easier to beat the boss fights without a copy ability than it was to beat them with a copy ability.
See, I think that that's actually interesting. I actually did read a little bit. They upped the damage of your like general inhale exhale move, the star bullets, because they wanted to keep the option open, which means that that means that they're on par with like the fully evolved abilities. So like at the start of the game, it's actually way easier to beat them without it. But it kind of depends. It's like because like some bosses will give you more stuff to spit than others. Clawreline is not super easy to spit stuff at because she's constantly moving. Whereas like Gorimondo is a lot easier because he does a lot of like big impacts and throws a lot of stuff at you. Oh my god, Teddy.
So my most recent game of the year is Hades 1. Because ever since Hades 2 got announced, I started a new save file of that and have been playing it. And then last night, before I went to bed, I did like one last run of Hades. I'm now on a 7-win streak, so that's cool. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a good game.
Hell yeah, it's awesome. I loved my playthrough.
Yeah, it's also fun going through, knowing that there is going to be a sequel now, and like noticing things that are probably going to come up in the next game. Because in the trailer for Hades 2, Nemesis has her sword, and you could use Nemesis's sword in the first game. So why does she have her sword now all of a sudden? That's intriguing. What's going on with Zagreus?
I think the weapons and their forms in Hades 1 are like reflections or imitations, aren't they?
No, they're like the same weapon. Like it's like the lore behind the infernal arms in that game is basically just like as the sword travels through history, it takes a new form depending on its wielder. And so like not like the sword is Nemesis' sword, it is also Excalibur. It is also literally Excalibur. It is the same sword, just in a different form.
Wait, what time period does this sounds like
It'd be interesting if Hades 2 is a prequel.
What time period is it? It's unclear. It seems to still be in ancient Greece, like the time period of ancient Greece when you are playing in Hades 1.
Yeah, it references the gun being from the future, right?
Yeah, however, it is like because the fates are involved, stuff from the future comes into play. Like there is a gun. One of the other weapons in that game is just a gun, and characters make note of the fact that it's like there is no weapon like this in the mortal world. Maybe this is something that will be invented later, and the fates are just bringing it in now because of
weird.
Whatever.
That's fascinating. This reminds me of something, but I don't have any actual experience with that thing outside of having a lot of friends who like it, so I'm not going to say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good game.
Hades is something that's been on my radar, but I've never played it because like
it's very good. The thing about Hades is that it's the roguelike for people who hate roguelikes.
Hi,
because the whole design of it is built around making like the things that are frustrating about roguelikes are all the design of Hades is made to make those things go away.
So it's
like
Final Fantasy 14 of roguelikes.
Kind of, yeah.
It's also
especially because like story is one of the big things that they use to fill those gaps.
Yeah,
like,
I was about to say it's very story heavy, and it's a very good story with tons of character work, tons of character interactions. It's got Dusa, who is worth a whole game by herself.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm just a simple bitch who doesn't like how the game looks. So like I appreciate that it looks objectively good, but it is not a style that I myself appreciate.
No.
So I'm just like, whoops.
On the other hand, you would love Thanatos.
I am aware. I've seen him, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I get this, I understand. But at the same time, it's just like I don't know. It's just something about its vibe and its aesthetic is just like it just doesn't make me interested in wanting to play it.
And anyone who knows my interests know that religion and mythology are a bit of a special interest for me.
I mean, I like religion and mythology in terms of like the history of them a lot of the time, like their cultural impact and like how they evolve over. And I'm sure that Hades has some of that.
Oh,
Like-
absolutely.
I like them as a storytelling element, which is one of the reasons I like Shin Megami Tensei and Persona.
Yeah, that also like I have aspects of that as well.
That's actually part of why I'm not interested in God of War Ragnarok, is because Thor is my favorite mythical being, period. And he's a bad guy in God of War Ragnarok.
Well,
Is he a bad guy or is he
So-
just an opponent?
he's
So
also
it's funny that you bring that up because the most recent game I played that's actually from this year is God of War Ragnarok, because I got that for Christmas and I just started that.
Oh.
Thor is also dead sexy in God of War.
Oh yeah, he's very much Teddy's type.
Yeah.
I'm not even into that, and I can tell how sexy he is.
Oh, so many
Oh,
people
yeah.
complained about him. It's just like this is Thor.
This is
like,
what he's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
This is the guy who drinks an ocean's worth of alcohol every day. You think he's not going to have a beer belly after all of that mead?
And like I've seen the tutorial fight at the start of the game with Thor, and it looks fucking awesome, but I just can't get behind villain Thor. It makes me sad.
He's really not a villain. He's like, I mean, he's got a grudge, and yeah, it's
Well, all the
It's
gods are
complicated.
evil. All the gods in God of War are evil. Like
Well, I
that's
mean-
that's
I
a
feel
theme
like
of the series.
I feel like the whole appeal of the new ones is that it's more nuanced than the originals, but that's
Yeah.
just what I've heard.
oh
like,
yeah,
you know,
like that's a thing. It's like it's
I
way more
appreciate a
complicated than
nuanced
that in. It's way more complicated than that in Thor 2018, and it continues to get complicated in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. Plus, to be fair, even in the mythology, Thor isn't completely a good guy either. The Norse gods were very human in the way they acted.
Thor is kind of a jackass, and that's about the bottom of his morality level. Thor is generally a decent guy.
He was. He also reveled in the idea of warfare, which
You know,
He
God of
wasn't-
Warfare. It's true.
yeah, which
Well, that was
does
Tyr,
mean-
actually. Tyr is the god of war in the Norse pantheon.
Well, I mean, they had a couple, from what I understand. Like the Greeks also had a couple.
Yeah, I mean, he.
Tyr is like the warrior poet god of war of Norse mythology. Thor is the let's fuck shit up god of
Yes.
war.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Thor
fair.
is
He's,
very much
he's
there.
kind of the god of like farmers
Zeus
going
is
to
the let's
war.
fuck shit god of
Yeah.
mythology.
So, like, even in his stories, there were a lot of innocent people that he will have killed in those wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no such thing as a war where every opponent is deserving.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like that's just kind of a thing with like history in general. Like, you know, we kind of have to we kind of have to think about the way we have to like think about how our cultures are different and like the things that would have been necessary in the past that are thankfully not necessary now. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've only just started. Like I very much am liking God of War Ragnarok so far. I'm also very much liking what they're doing with Thor. He is a very interesting, very sympathetic character. And there's also a bit in the tutorial where if you die, I'm not sure if it was scripted or if I just sucked, but if you die in the tutorial, he defibrillates you with Mjolnir.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
It's like, nope, we're not done yet. Get out of that restart menu. We're still going.
We're done when I say we're done.
Yes.
I think that is scripted that he kills you, and then wakes you back up. But it's such a cool moment.
Yes.
Sounds like the Scarecrow interface screws in a.
It is very much like the because it is an interface. Like you die, it goes to the menu where it's like press start to restart, and then all of a sudden you hear Thor's voice. It's like, oh no, we're not done yet, and then like cut to, and then like the screen cuts back to Kratos being defibrillated by Mjolnir, and it's like, okay, love this guy.
Yeah, it's fucking badass.
There is like an inverse of that in Kirby, actually, which I find extremely funny. At one point, so like DDD is mind controlled. This happens a lot. The poor guy.
He's so susceptible.
His theme in that is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. It's so good.
So you fight him, and then like after the boss fight, he's like laying on the ground, and like he's out of it, and then like the victory thing happens, and like you do your little dance, and then like as the screen is showing you like the missions you completed, he gets up and readies the cage. Like he just stands there with like a cage held up, and he'll just stand there for as long as you stay on that screen, and as soon as you move past it, he yoinks the Elflin into the cage, and it's extremely funny.
But yeah, it's like the other funny thing to me personally with Thor Ragnarok is that Odin is played by
you keep calling it
Richard
Thor
Schiff.
Ragnarok.
Like God of War, yeah. God of War, yeah.
LMAO.
God of War, yeah. It's like the other movie that movie's a little bit older now, actually. Anyway, God of War Ragnarok. The other thing that's funny to me is that Odin is played by an actor named Richard Schiff, who I don't know if any of you else have heard of him, but he was in a series called The West Wing for like a decade.
I've heard of that.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, I mean it's a show.
It's an American political show, so
yeah, from like late '90s, early aughts most of the aughts was when it was running.
Is that is that the show where the clip with the guy who like a woman says uses the Bible to try and justify?
Yes, that is where that clip is from.
Right.
Another clip you might have seen that's very memeable from that show is like a guy trying to explain why we need to change the maps. This is a clip that you might have seen rolling around where a guy's explaining how like maps are like very like Eurocentric and Northern centric, and he's trying to explain how we can fix them to make them more amenable to other people.
Modern society.
Yeah. And also, like, how, like, all the maps are, like, super inaccurate because they make Europe look really big when actually it's not that big and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's a clip that's out there. You might have seen it. It's also from West Wing. But anyway, Odin is a guy from that show, and it's just very funny seeing that because I am very familiar with his character from the show, and now he's the All-Father. Okay.
Oh, a bit of trivia about where I'm from. I'm actually from an area in the UK that was heavily colonized by the Vikings back when.
Which area?
The Yorkshire area, the Lincolnshire area, sort of area.
I just don't know very much about which areas are more dramatic than which other ones.
Right. Well, But because but pretty much anyone who's got like ancestry here in this area, we're almost certainly going to have some like Northerners somewhere along the lines. But more interestingly though is there's a huge amount of our cities and towns that are named by the Viking settlers, and one of the locations here is Grimsby, which was the name that Odin took whenever he came down to Midgard to get laid.
Or did it like didn't he also like just like hang out and be like, hey, discovered any new wisdom lately? Discovered any new things? You got what's the word, kids? like he would just
How
come
do you do,
as,
fellow mortals?
like just suspiciously not Odin and be like, hello, I am here. Did you have any riddles? I like riddles. You want to do some riddles?
So now I'm just imagining like cruising like in the forest, and while it's going, it's like, hey, you heard any good riddles?
Like seriously though, like I mean, most of what I know about like Norse stuff comes from stuff that I've seen on the internet, obviously, and one of my favorites is the Overly Sarcastic Productions video on Loki, which is just like, the Norse gods were kind of weird and very human, and so, like, because of that, a lot of the time they can be seen as the bad guys, which is why Loki is so popular, because he's, like, just an oppositional element to them. So, like, if he's, like, a rebel, then you can make them the authority figures, and so Loki can be a good guy, and, like, all these other things.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's lots of interesting stuff.
Loki was also hilariously a dick.
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's like, oh, there's only one thing that can kill Balder, mistletoe. I think I'll go, like, put it everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of it is really interesting too, because, like, one of the theories that she has in that video is like, okay, but, like, Loki knows a lot of stuff that, like, only Odin should know. Like, is Loki perhaps an alternate version of Odin, like an offshoot, like how Hermes was originally Pan, which is also covered in one of her videos.
Well, in the original myths, Loki was very much not the son of Odin. He was his battle brother, his blood brother, who he had a covenant of bond with.
Yeah, she brought that up as well. That comes up in a videos because she covered the Poetic Edda, and it comes up in that.
Yeah, I really like. I've not seen much of Overly Sarcastic Productions, but I found her video on Don Quixote, and oh my god, Don Quixote is fucking amazing. Why did no one tell me about this sooner?
Oh yeah, that book is a hot mess and it's glorious.
It's like 700 years old and it sounds like a modern day shitpost.
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
funny man fight a windmill.
I mean, like, fucking Kirby Right Back At Ya adapted the plot of Don Quixote, actually.
Like, my favorite bit is the bit where he's so delusional that he gets captured and taken to justice by people going, we just put a magic spell on you. You're in like invisible bindings now. He's like, oh no, I can't move. Like, okay, that works.
Yeah,
did it, guys?
There's a lot of crazy shit in that, and like it was a commentary on then modern fucking literary tropes, and like, damn, bitch.
Yeah, the chivalry obsession at the time.
You're going hard on
so
back to video games.
Yeah, my turn next, because it's been brought up in chat. The latest game I've played is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, but we're not going to count that because the latest game I hadn't played before is Deltarune. I finished Chapter 1 a couple days ago.
Wait, you finished it? Did I miss that? No,
Just
that's right.
1.
I was there. I only thought about Jevil for some reason. I thought we ended after Jevil, but no, then we had a different stream where we finished Chapter 1. I'm fine.
No, I finished Chapter 1 in the Jevil
stream.
One stream.
That's right. Yeah, God, my memory's bad. Have I mentioned that?
So, Deltarune.
I told you that was going to take more than 2 days to finish Deltarune Chapter 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Listen, I looked up estimates of how long the game was online. So we're like, oh yeah, like, 6 hours overall if you're going at like a medium pace, 10 if you're going at like a thorough one, and I'm like, okay, like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, like the other thing you have to consider, especially with Deltarune, because it's a lot of reading text out loud for a streamer, is that like take that time and then just double it for streamers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can visually, I can read as fast as text appears on the screen, pretty much.
Yeah, I noticed when you were reading that one Phoenix Wright thing where it kept going and going and going.
Yeah.
I can keep up with almost anything text-wise as long as it's on the screen for more than a split second. It's no fun to read it out like, I want to read it out like, blah, 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 blah. No, I want to actually read it out at a normal pace, and that takes time. And read I did, because Deltarune is fucking awesome. It was so funny. It was so funny. I was not expecting it to be that funny. It was hilarious.
Yeah. To note, Lore, I laughed a fair amount in Chapter 1. I was fucking instant. Like, my stomach was not alive anymore after Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is fucking.
Let's talk about Chapter 2 after Laura plays Chapter 2.
Yeah, it's just like I just
I'm trying to think about stuff to play. Like, in fact, that's kind of the thing I'm struggling with. Is like, what can I say about Chapter 1 that isn't just indirectly talking about Chapter 2? Because there's a lot of stuff. Well, because the other thing too is I like Chapter 2 is like a bit longer than Chapter 1 as well. Like probably about like 50% longer, so that one might actually
I know
take
what we
you
can
through
talk about. I know what we can talk about. I tried playing. I was like interested. So I tried playing again, and I got up to Jevil, and I managed one hypnosis, and then I died. And I've beaten him before. So let's talk about Lore beating him in 2 hours.
Yeah,
I'm proud of
that's
that.
a pretty good time. Like I've seen some people.
And he almost did it while with an inventory just filled with shite.
I know, right? I had a good inventory, but I was just taking hit after hit. And admittedly, I don't think I had full defense items on everybody now that I think about it. Like, I think I needed to get, like, a couple more amber cards.
Yeah,
I had 4 dark candies, 2 choco diamonds, 1 heart donut, and a spin cake in my initial attempts.
You might as well have been fighting Ozma with nothing but cure and potions.
I'm sorry.
And I still
somebody
almost
says
beat him
they
like that.
Jevil
I almost
3
beat him like that on like my 5th try.
Important question. Somebody in chat just said that they beat Jevil in like 3 to 5 tries, which, like, yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta one-up me, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
I think-
Jevil's a great boss fight. The other thing too is that like I mean, like Megalovania also has the Homestuck connection, but like of the 2 themes, I kind of like World Revolving better.
I prefer Megalovania, but
It's partially the
Homestuck.
Homestuck in me that prefers Megalovania. And the World Revolving was pretty damn good, but Megalovania is just iconic.
Yeah.
I was 1 turn away from beating Jevil, on like my 5th try, and I just couldn't close it out because I had no health left and no healing items.
Yeah.
When it comes to
I'm just like sitting on top of a rattling chest that is my emotion, is like my opinions about Deltarune music, because all of it is based on Chapter 2 stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
My
Yeah.
favorite bangers are definitely from Chapter 2.
Like so much.
If it beats Field of Hopes and Dreams, that's going to be impressive, because I love that track.
It's
There are
not
some
for
really
debate, but like, yeah.
Is it spoilers to tell you that like a specific external musician cooperated with one of the songs in Chapter 2?
Go for it.
Lena Raine worked with Toby on one of the songs in Chapter 2.
Who is Lena Raine?
Celeste composer.
Oh, shit. Nice.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
The Reach for the Summit is the single most triumphant final level track I've ever heard.
Yeah, when it comes to the Tobyverse, my favorite battle tracks would be Death by Glamour, and I'll only say the first 3 words because.
How about
no? No, don't.
All right then.
But yeah, so like the other thing too, the other thing that shortened your stream significantly, I will say, is because you have not played Undertale. And so like there are a lot of like Undertale references that slow people down when they stream this game, because they're like, oh, that's Toriel. What's she doing here? What's her deal? Why is this? How does this work? Blah 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 blah.
And I recognize the character, but I don't know anything about them.
And so which makes me wonder, now that you have started Deltarune, does this make you want to like actually go back and play Undertale now, just for like that context, to see what's going on with these characters in another universe?
It does. I do want to go back and play Undertale now.
All right, excellent.
That
will be time well spent sometime later, I'm sure.
Eventually. I've got so much on my plate, especially with the patron picks every month, which I'm very happy about. I'm very successful with, but they do take up a lot of my stream time.
I will say that I have a lot of potentially controversial opinions about Undertale, which, you know, we've been over a million times, because there was like a whole period in my life where I was just like, ugh, about Undertale. But like the fact that Deltarune is as good as it is actually makes me like Undertale more, which is amazing.
I think Deltarune definitely is Toby looking at some of the ethos of Undertale and some of the choices that he made in developing it and kind of being like, maybe I feel a little bit differently now that I think about it, or maybe I needed to elaborate on this, that, or the other thing a little bit.
It's also like the thing about Deltarune, and this is something that like Toby Fox has talked about. It's not really a secret or a spoiler or anything.
Oh yeah,
it
technically came first.
Yeah, is that like Deltarune was his first idea for a video game, and he said, "Okay, no, this Deltarune idea I have is way too ambitious. I don't have the skills to do it. I'm going to make this other game with some of these characters as like practice, essentially." And so Deltarune is not the spin-off of Undertale. Undertale is actually the spin-off of Deltarune.
Interesting.
And thinking about it in that context,
and his
makes
practice,
the whole thing very interesting. Yeah,
his practice game is possibly the most successful indie game of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know,
Interesting.
like, I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's was originally an
True. Yeah.
Listen,
Everyone just goes, yeah.
The most successful good one.
It's one of the most critically acclaimed, one of the most successful games. I can say that.
I have a thing in my brain that just filters out the existence of FNAF.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time I do too, but my younger brother was into it for a little while. So, you know.
I love horror, and I found FNAF to be very effective horror, so I like it.
It's like, I appreciate it to a certain extent for what it is, but
FNAF does what it does well.
But also, please stop advertising horror games to children.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Honestly,
I loved horror as a kid.
I mean, yes, but you shouldn't advertise it to children. Like, it should not be the
Did he?
Yes. There's like if you go to a kids' toy section in any Walmart, you will see
the
so
merch,
much FNAF. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that came about as a result of FNAF being so popular.
The merch thing is organic, I think. It's just like kids love FNAF. Like
kids love FNAF, and then they made merch for FNAF because they knew they could sell it to kids. It went in that order. They didn't market FNAF to kids. They marketed FNAF to adults, and then kids loved it.
It's true, but like, I'm not really an expert on this. I've seen like citing other concerns that I've had from other people. But you know, like again, I have no interest in horror games. You know, outside of like horror.
Well, I mean, like it's not games. Because I mean, like the games are rated like teen. I think they're like they're not gory. They describe gory things, but they're not like objectionable.
They're pretty bloodless.
Yeah.
I think I think the most graphic thing is the eyeball hanging out of the suit in the very first game.
And you can barely see that anyway. People keep telling me it's there, but I've never noticed it. But honestly, I kind of agree with Nitro Red's assessment in that Five Nights at Freddy's isn't really scary. It's startling.
It's just jump scares. Yeah,
it's all jump scares.
It's effective jump scares because it's atmospheric. Like, there's a reason the jump scares get you so well, and why it's such high-quality jump scares, because, yes, it's jump scares, and jump scares are cheap and easy, but there's good jump scares and bad jump scares, and good jump scares come from atmosphere making you afraid, and FNAF does that masterfully.
I think
that it definitely does. Like, I don't know much about like the extended franchise and the plot and everything. Like, there's like some dark implications and all these things.
Yeah. Oh, lots of child murder.
I don't know much about everything except that like I know people who were into it. But like anyway, let's move on to talking about games we actually like, shall we?
Well, speak for yourself. I'm talking about a game I like anyway. Yeah. Let's.
Although I will say, I personally prefer horror that is just spooky atmosphere over jump scares, because just personally, I find that the spooky atmosphere is much more satisfying to me than You know?
I prefer games that do not seem creepy, but actually have some. You're like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, like
to elaborate a little, I think the sense of panic that FNAF induces is excellent horror on its own. It's not just atmosphere. It makes you afraid. It makes you frantic because you're trying to avoid.
It's like, oh god, I'm using too much power, and it's only 3 a.m.
I'm being assailed from all sides.
Oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck is a valid thing for a game to endure.
Yeah. And I think it does it on par with the great horror games. There's a reason it's so successful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
FNAF is funny because they're kind of to the FNAF fandom. There's the half that appreciates it for the way it is very effective at producing its horror, or at least the earlier games are. It's like it's evolved into a whole weird thing since then.
Yeah.
And then there's the game theory half, which I consider to be just like a whole other separate channel.
Let's not talk shit about game theory as a channel. I actually think that MatPat is a decent human being.
Oh, MatPat is a great human being. I just think his conclusions are out there.
I just don't like his stage persona. I just don't like his stage persona.
That's kind of the point. But also, like, I really enjoy his theory content. Like, that's not connected to anything. I just think that the fact that he has a food theory channel and that most of it is actually really interesting is really cool because I was raised on Good Eats and it's a very, like, adjacent level of enjoyment. Yeah. But anyway.
Also,
my point is that, like, that's, like, the whole other side of FNAF is just, like, the people who, like, dig into the lore and try and figure out what the lore is, and MatPat kind of spearheaded that whole side of the fandom.
I do think that children are very naturally drawn towards horror, mostly because there are a few things that children really love. One is being in on something and feeling like they notice something that's hidden. Children love that. Children love engaging with things that makes them feel like they're being engaged as an adult. And children love hidden things that make them feel, like, oh, yeah. And
what I found.
And the whole sort of premise of Five Nights at Freddy's, even though it's not an execution, is, scary hidden truth about
whatever the fuck is going on in this pizza joint.
Whatever the fuck's going on in the pizza,
yeah.
Which I think is also why children are very much drawn to, like, creepypasta, why children are drawn to Undertale and Deltarune's, like, more dark elements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because... I mean, like, I like Majora's Mask. I liked it as a kid.
Yeah.
There's a reason that Coraline is so successful, is because, you'll constantly hear adults talking about how scary it is, how they look at this and they see a child in danger, and they can't fathom why kids love it so much, because the kids should be scared out of their minds. But no, the kids see a child on an adventure, overcoming overwhelming odds and defeating a scary monster.
Right?
It's empowering to the child.
Yeah, that's the nature of adult fears. You've got to be an adult to get those adult fears.
Here's the thing, right? I was not that kid. I've never been that kid. I was always like, ah!
Hey, love, you were also the one that didn't go into...
Spirited Away. Spirited Away, I still don't want to watch that movie because it was so fundamentally terrifying to me as a child. And I liked Howl's Moving Castle just fine, even though it has a lot of similar stuff, but like it's like a fancy romance with cool like adult characters who I like, whereas like with Spirited Away it's like, oh, this person I relate to is going through all of this really scary shit, and I'm like, nope.
Love, to be fair, you were also the good kid that didn't want to go into the Forbidden Garden in Majora's Mask because there was a sign telling you not to.
So I feel like this explains your don't advertise horror to children thing quite a bit. That like
a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, Spirited Away was too scary for me. It's like, okay, I see. There's some stuff you were carrying into this conversation.
Like, I mean, I've always had anxiety thing where I empathize with characters on screen a lot. Like, it's hard for me to watch true crime. It's hard for me to watch most things like that have a large amount of tension in them in general, like especially live action television. Like it's just too close, it's just too much. I'm like, nope, I'm feeling this too much. So that's why I had like
my history with horror is a bit of an odd one. For a long time I utterly thought I was a horror wuss. I thought I can't do horror. I can't do horror. But but the thing is that what I was really scared of was being scared. I was scared of being scared. And when I realized that, I was like, wait, so if I'm scared of being scared, does that mean I've not actually been scared to really have the experience for that? And I'm like, wait, I've not been scared by these things. They don't scare me. So, I was so scared of being scared. I was scared, but when I actually tried the scary things, it was like, oh, okay.
The thing I want to lay on top of that as well is that good, actually scary media is a release. It's a way to experience fear and tension in a controlled, safe environment that lets you release all those feelings and lets you get past them and work them out, again, in a safe environment where you're not actually in any danger, except maybe of a heart attack if you have heart problems. But,
yeah.
And I think that's fascinating to think about.
Nightmares can be like that for me, actually. When I have nightmares, I don't really get scared. I get a bit detached and just kind of watch interestedly.
Yeah.
Y'all are speaking foreign language.
Actually, since we're talking about horror games, we can talk about a game that nobody liked.
Oh,
that came
boy.
out this year.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Callisto Protocol is so bad. Oh, God. It's a mess. I played an hour and a half of this game, and I put it down, and I watched a playthrough, and felt completely justified in having put it down, because it's unfun melee mechanics, lacks... Okay, Callisto Protocol for years has been marketed as the Dead Space devs making more Dead Space, and I've wanted more Dead Space since 2012, and I haven't gotten it because Dead Space is dead. Or it was until the remake, which is coming out next month. And, yeah, Dead Space 3 killed the franchise stone dead. Not for as long as Other M did Metroid, but still for a long time. And I've been craving... Dead Space is one of my favorite horror franchises of all time. I love Dead Space. Dead Space 2 is... Dead Space 1 is one of my favorite games of all time, let alone Dead Space 2, which is even better. And so Callisto Protocol gets announced, and they say, oh, it's a spooky game for the Dead Space devs. And I'm like, ooh, okay. And then Callisto Protocol gets more information released about it, and it's the Dead Space devs making more Dead Space. And I'm like, okay, you have my attention. And then the trailers come out, and the gameplay trailers come out, and it's more Dead Space. And I'm so excited. And Callisto Protocol comes out, and it gets universally panned. And I finally get it, because my buddy gave it to me for Christmas, and I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. I love Dead Space. Hopefully I'll enjoy it. It is not Dead Space. It is not Dead Space. None of the interesting things about Dead Space are present. None of the fun things about Dead Space are present. It's just a bad third-person shooter with shitty melee mechanics that you're supposed to rely on to win. And it's got, for God's sake, there are 2 bosses in the game, one of which is the final boss, the other of which is reused 4 times in the space of 2 hours. It's, oh my God. And the game is the monster designs are relatively uninspired too, which is weird coming from the Dead Space devs. And the gameplay sucks, the presentation, the graphics are good, but none of the characters really emote. The voice acting is good, but it's just bad. I'm so mad about it, as you can probably tell.
Yeah, from what I hear, it basically does the same thing Sonic Forces does, where it takes stuff that the same team has already done way better and then makes them so utterly average that it ends up being worse than something bad.
When something's aggressively average, all of its subpar elements become much, much louder.
Here's
Sonic
all
Force's really bad 2D classic Sonic physics are like so obnoxiously loud because the game is horribly subpar.
Yeah.
Here's what you need to know about Callisto Protocol to judge how it plays. In Dead Space, you press a button and you heal using a healing item from your inventory, right? In Callisto Protocol, you have to hold the down button and you pull out a syringe and you kneel down and you hold it to your neck and you press the button and it slowly empties into your neck, refilling your health bar, and then you put it away and then you stand up and then you're finally ready to fight, and the whole process takes like 12 or 15 seconds. It's insane, and that's the design ethos they have for the game. It's so good.
We got an angry boy here.
And we've got a very angry boy here.
Laura, I have a question for future patron pick stuff.
Uh-huh.
If we ever have you play a game, and the game has hidden content in it that is very incredibly unintuitive for you to come across.
Oh God.
Near the tail end of you playing the game, should we tell you about that so you can go back and do it so that you've kind of seen all the game has to offer? Or should we just not mention it at all at any point?
Okay, Teddy, I think I know what you might be talking about. I'm gonna put it in chat under @
Yeah, that's a discussion to have somewhere else. I'm also another disappointing thing with Callisto Protocol is that at least Karen Fukuhara got some work out of it, so I like her.
I'd never heard of her before Callisto Protocol. What else was she in?
She's in a bunch of stuff. She's the thing you've seen her in is she is Glimmer in She-Ra.
Oh, cool.
It's really funny because she is typecast 2 different ways. If she is voice acting, she is a small, optimistic purple girl. There are more than one of these that she has played. And if she is doing something live action, which I kind of count Callisto Protocol for it because she's also
that's
doing
more
motion
that's
capture
more
and facial capture and all that stuff and all that jazz for Callisto Protocol. And if she's doing live action stuff, she is some sort of grim, dark badass. Because her live action roles is she was Katana in the bad Suicide Squad movie. She's a character in The Boys. And just saying she's in The Boys is probably enough to tell you what kind of character she is.
Yep.
I hear that show's not actually as people say it is.
It's not bad, but it is very alt.
What I've heard about The Boys is that it's good edgy.
Yeah, it's good edgy, exactly. It's edgy, and there's a point to. Okay, here's the problem with shit being so edgy. But yeah, and so it's very funny that she has those 2 type casts. She's super bright and cheerful and optimistic, and purple, always purple. If she is voice acting, and if she's not, she's doing Callisto Protocol or The Boys.
Oh, I can't believe they got her to voice act Susie in Deltarunes.
She actually would be good as Susie in Deltarune. Let's see that.
So
My
who's
favorite character of all time.
Who's actually gone so far for the most recent game that we've played?
I went.
I did.
I did.
I technically went
think it's
because I
Danny
talked
and
about
Teddy
Vampire
left.
Survivor. I technically went because I talked about Vampire Survivor.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Well, the most recent game I've played, I mentioned to getting it for Christmas. Bayonetta 3. I'm still very early on, but
So you haven't gotten to the part that people are mad about yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But,
People mad on the internet? Are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? Unbelievable.
Most people I've seen are just disappointed by what Bayonetta 3 goes for.
Insert Kevin Sorbo.
But the gameplay is good. I'm currently very, very bad at it because every Bayonetta game she has a new moveset. Fortunately, the having save data from the previous 2 games unlocks the weapons with the movesets of 1 and 2. So I've been switching to them when I'm in a pinch. But currently, I'm not so keen on the fair setting that we're in, which is basically modern day Tokyo, which isn't quite.
She's there to visit her son, Joker Persona.
Yeah, it doesn't have as much character as the locales in the previous games, but like I said, I'm still early on, so I can't really judge yet.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the series.
Another
That's-
game I played. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's really all I've got on it at the moment. Since, like I said, I'm so early on.
Another game I played this year. I don't have a lot of playtime in it because it's kind of a very multiplayer game, and I haven't been able to find a lot of people to play through or play with. It's called Yomi Hustle.
Oh yeah, I've
very
heard
good.
of that.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah, I
very
know about
fun, it's a very fun turn-based fighting game where your next turn comes based on who comes next in like the frame data.
Ah,
Interesting.
I think I have heard about this.
It's
But I haven't
incredibly
seen-
fun. It's played out like turn by turn, so there's no real twitch reflex happening.
Could you
the
type that
thing-
up? Could you type that so I can do a quick search on it?
Give me one moment, and yes. And the thing that I think is really fun about it is that after your match finishes, the game, then you can save a replay of the match and watch it how it would have gone out in real time. And it's always
Interesting.
fun and insane and stupid. I like the
oh yeah.
variety
Like
of
that
playable
feature is
characters.
always really fun. Like Super Hot is another great example of a game that does that, but like Super Hot ruins it by just having the words super hot, super
Yeah.
hot playing
Yeah.
over your entire playthrough thing. Because like otherwise,
Really?
just like seeing the time replay of your Super Hot level would be really cool. But then they do that, so you can barely see it. It's like okay, well,
Yeah, it sounds
Come
like there must be a mod to remove that.
probably, almost certainly.
Yeah, Yomi Hustle's fun. I like that, like, the wizard is just constantly throwing out all sorts of stupid projectiles and shit, and in replays it's always hilarious to me how it's just, like, constant nonsense. I like that the fucking cowboy has their stupid gun mechanic and their really weird, like, frame data where they've got really great range, but if they whiff, they have so much frame disadvantage that they're going to get stopped. It's fun.
This is.
So have we reached the point? So have we reached the point where it's time to talk about Pokemon?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That's
Pokemon.
let's talk
Right, let's
Pokemon.
talk about Pokemon Scary and Pokemon Violence.
I'm
my
so-
God.
I'm also
I mean,
very
they
early
are
on.
kind of scary.
Danny,
some
you don't
way.
care about spoilers, right? Because you were there for my playthrough.
Yeah, honestly, it's Pokemon. I'm very much not invested in the story.
Oh, you will be.
You're lost.
Yeah,
Right,
I am
yeah.
also just starting, so I would like spoilery. Here, I do want to tell my story. My
Please do.
Pokemon Violet story from last night is kind of funny, I think. Because like I got
More told me about this, I think.
yeah, so I got Pokemon for Christmas, and last night finally had a chance to sit down and start playing it, and got through like the very start, picked my starter, met the good boy, gave the good boy a sandwich. He was very happy.
Uh-huh.
Lost some
Met him
hound
yet.
hours with him.
I'm not that
Go up
far
to
yet.
go up to the lighthouse, do that whole thing with Goku. There you go.
Goku?
She is autistic
Oh,
Goku, and I
her.
love her.
Oh,
Yeah.
her.
That
I'm
implies
sorry. For
Goku
some reason, I
isn't
thought
already
you were.
autistic.
You said lighthouse, so I thought you were talking about Arvin. And I'm like, Arvin's not
Oh, no, wait.
Goku.
I did meet him too. So that also happens at the lighthouse. And then I got to the first area, and I just wandered off catching Pokemon for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's
and-
one of the most fun tutorial levels in any game because it just opens up. It says here's a bunch of Pokemon. Here's a somewhat contained but interesting area to explore that teaches you the ethos of the game, that you can go all over the place, that you can find these wild Pokemon wherever you want. And
For the catching tutorial, they say, here's how to catch a Pokemon, and they let you do it. Which is also how it was in Arceus, but there's a Pokemon. Okay, you're in a battle. Okay, throw a Pokeball. And you're like, okay.
And then also your rival says that she's bad at catching Pokemon, which is funny. Like, they say she's a champion level trainer who's starting over just for the challenge. And
But
apparently
also
she just
she's
sucks at catching Pokemon somehow.
Yeah, she's
Somehow
just
that is just like something that like completely blew past her
I mean, you
when
can
she
be
was
good
trained to
at
become a champion.
You can be good at raising Pokemon, but horrible at catching them.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
how many Pokemon does Ash catch generally, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's a
Oh yeah,
world
there you go.
champion
Actually,
now.
yeah, she did. Ash in there. But yeah, so yeah, I have not actually made it to the school yet
Me neither.
because I have just been wandering around Area 1. And that was another funny thing too, is that like at first I was like, really? Area 1? That's very general and seems like a silly name for it. And then you start walking away from the path. And you keep walking, and you keep walking, and it's like, oh no, this legitimately is an area.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than they calling it Route 1, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it is. It
helps
is them
because-
calling it Route 1, except like it's Area 1, and it is an area.
I do
And so
think
like
that
the only reason I went to because I ran out of Pokeballs because I caught too many Pokemon.
My progress is, I got dragged to the to where you start and where you get starter. Oh my god, my main complaint there is it takes so long for you to be allowed to do anything other than walk. Why?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
little weird.
It's
Yeah,
they're
that was
showing
weird.
off, hey, look how pretty this game is. It
Oh,
would
they
sure look
shouldn't.
nice if it ran a little bit better game, but
They
whatever.
should
Yeah.
show off how pretty the game is, because that's one of the big problems with the game.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Um,
it is pretty. It just doesn't run very well.
Yeah,
the
like as
textures
far
are
as the
so
graphic goes, it's
awesome.
like the design of the place is very pretty. Like the way it runs. Like what's really funny about it is that like by and large the fact that it runs kind of chunkily doesn't bother me most of the time. But there are some little things that I notice. It's always the little things that really bother me. Like the fact that like switching from one camera angle to another almost never happens smoothly. There's always like a weird jitter when it switches from one angle to another where all the characters freeze because the camera isn't supposed to be on them.
Okay,
And-
I need somebody to tell me if this is just my Switch being dumb or if everybody else. Does anybody else's camera just drift for no reason?
That's a Joy-Con thing probably.
Yeah.
I don't
you
have
may have
Joy-Cons.
Joy-Con drift.
I don't have Joy-Cons. It's a Switch Lite.
Oh.
Then
Just like
you-
I'll be standing there and suddenly like the camera will just like slowly tilt and it's a different direction every time.
Well, let's
Okay,
hope
that's
you don't,
weird.
let's hope you don't have controller drift on the.
I mean,
that
I
might
literally
that might
just
just
got my
be-
left joystick replaced because it wasn't registering up inputs. So like it's not, but like my right joystick doesn't have that problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. That might be a joystick thing, or it might just be the game.
I
don't
feel
know.
like it might just be the game not processing like garbage inputs properly. Like
Yeah. The other little glitch that I noticed that bugs me is that whenever it fades to black, it doesn't do it smoothly. Have you noticed this? Has anybody else noticed this?
It
No.
can be a little jittery when it fades to black sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
like
little
like
bit,
when
yeah.
it fades, whenever a camera angle fades to black, it stutters a little bit. It's like and
I
full
believe
black, and it's like it's so weird.
I
And it
believe
and it
that's,
like hits my brain in a weird way.
I
I
believe that's how
normally
the T-posing thing got noticed.
Here's
yeah, that would make sense.
I
Here's-
normally don't like mind some of the performance issues, but there were a couple of spots where I'm like, oh my god, please, you could have just made the water less pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll
On
get
that big
you'll
lake,
get to the
hated.
you'll get to the lake
Ugh.
and the performance will tank. But here's the thing about the bad parts of Pokemon Scarlet. Yes, the performance sucks in some areas and is just okay in others. Yes,
Yeah,
there
it-
are texture bugs and low res textures all over the place.
It needed
But
more time in the
but
oven.
the
recipe
game
was
the,
good, but it needed more time in the oven.
the
Yeah.
rest of the game is so insanely fun and high quality that the bad parts just kind of fade into the background. They become
Again.
non-issues.
I
Yeah.
will just go ahead and state for the record one more time, my favorite Sonic game is Sonic 06.
Yeah.
I don't care about like 80% of these issues. I'm just here playing Pokemon, my dude.
Yeah.
I had 2 crashes over the course of my 40-hour playthrough, and I haven't had any since.
I'm
Um,
I
gonna
think I
soft-
had one. I think I had one.
I had one within my first 15 minutes, and then a second one later after a terror raid at one point, and haven't had one since. But I still think it's really funny that within my first 15 minutes, the game was like, "No, don't talk to that NPC."
I had an
I-
NPC problem
I
too.
have not. I did not have a. within about 45 minutes is I found the shiny.
I was wondering when we were going to get to that.
Yeah, is like that was the
love-
other thing too, was that like after about 45 minutes of playing this game, I found the shiny. It was like, oh, it's just right there. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll catch it.
I suppose when so many Pokemon are being generated at once, you're gonna get more shinies than
Probably.
when it's all one
See,
at a
y'all have
time.
been getting so many goddamn shinies. I have discovered one random shiny, and I've hunted for a couple and only gotten a couple. I successfully hunted a Tadbulb and then a Riolu, and that's
yeah.
it. Those are the only.
And neither of those were for
two-
yourself.
Yeah, those two and the shiny Staraptor that I found randomly at the lake have been the only shinies that I myself have found.
I'm
I've
still
found
gonna
a
give you
couple
your
of other
Wattrel.
shinies from other people.
Yeah, as far as I am story-wise, like I said, I got my starter. I call it Josuke.
Which did
be-
you pick? Oh,
Josuke.
It's the duck.
Yeah,
The duck.
the toothpaste duck.
Yes. And then I, like a naughty puppy, I had my nose pushed down into the chunk. That's about where I stopped.
Yeah.
Uh,
The other funny thing was like catching that shiny was a bit of an ordeal because like it was the tarantula and it was hanging from a tree.
oh,
And by the time I saw it, I had like gotten the tooltip saying it's like if you see a Pokemon that's flying or up in a tree, press ZR to throw a Pokeball at it.
It never
that
tells you
tooltip-
how to focus on Pokemon.
Yes.
It does-
What the
It does
tooltip?
say to press ZL to focus, but you focus on what's already in the center of the screen, so you kind of have to like tilt your camera to do it, and it's a little bit weird, but I did eventually figure it out.
Yeah. So like the tooltip just tells you throw a Pokeball at some flying Pokemon with ZR to catch it. But like it fails to tell you like, okay, I'm pressing LR, I'm pressing R, and nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? So I had to Google it because like the actual in-game tutorial didn't explain it properly.
Oh, I
Yeah.
would
How
have been
to
slamming
catch-
that entire Google.
and how is it done?
Yeah.
Because this will be useful for when I play.
ZL L2
ZL.
focuses.
Okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, like that was annoying. And so like I almost walked right past the shiny because like I didn't know. That was the other thing too, is I almost walked past it because I didn't know. I was just like, huh, what's that red thing in the tree? Wait a minute. Looking around the field, looking at the other tarantulas, it's like, oh, that looks like a tarantula. But it's red. Oh, I should catch that.
Yeah, there's
Here's
no,
a
like,
tip. Here's a
thing
tip for the
that
both
gets
of
me,
you.
like,
You can, if you spot a shiny, you can save, shut off autosave, approach the shiny, and if it dies or you fail to catch it, reload your save and it'll still be there.
Oh,
I
there you
did
go.
see you do that. Yeah.
You just have to be
Actually,
sure to
from what I
have autosave
understand-
on for it to connect.
From what I understand, it's that a shiny will still be there. It can be a different Pokemon.
Really?
Oh.
That's
Huh.
From what
odd.
I have seen.
That's a weird one.
That actually might make it more. It might even be more useful then.
Yeah.
But I might actually be thinking of Legends Arceus, but I know that there's something like that happened.
See, I'm a little bit surprised, honestly, that with how constantly the game churns out generating Pokemon, that they didn't like make the wild encounter shiny rate back to the 8,000 one, because it's generating like 5 times as many Pokemon.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a shame that they.
I'm
Uh,
still so angry at my shiny. Just like
Yeah,
I
over
really
here I
shouldn't
have egg 42, egg 18, and egg 5.
I'm so upset.
Yeah, so like I checked right before the stream started, and my Pokédex is now up to 25, and I have not left the first area.
Yeah, there's like so many different Pokemon to catch, and
Yeah,
like that's
like-
been the case in games like a lot. But like in this game, they're all new. Like most of them are new. There are so many new Pokemon in this game. I
Yeah.
was not expecting how many new, like
Yeah.
entirely new Pokemon. There's like 100 some
Yeah.
entirely new Pokemon.
And they're all pretty good.
I like most of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
But
I
of
have,
course, I like
I have
most
25
Pokemon as
Pokemon,
well.
and like the I could carry to the Elite Four is the other fun thing. Because I have a Drowsy, I have a Sonic, I have, the Flamingo thing.
Oh,
Oh my
Flamingo
God,
is really
Flamingo
good.
is so funny.
I could make a back team that goes all the way through the game just with the Pokemon that I have now, and that is something that pretty much never happens in Pokemon. Like on Route 1, you get Pidgey and Rattata, and that's like enough to let you carry on until you can get some real Pokemon.
Hey. The second route, you get Mankey
Yeah,
and Nidoran.
yeah, and Mankey carries you through Brock's gym if you have a Charmander. There you go.
Nidoran, unless you use Nidoran for it instead, because Nidoran
I
is
suppose.
better.
Oh yeah, because Nidoran has double kick, so you can do that too as well. Okay.
Also, you don't get Mankey in blue.
Because
Oh, yeah.
Sandshrew is is it Sandshrew?
Which is
Yeah,
also
Yeah, Sandshrew.
You don't find Sandshrew in the early routes before.
Yeah,
Brock.
I'm just trying to think about like which if that's the correct version exclusive.
I think you can get a
Sandshrew.
Sand 1 or 2. It's like very rare, but it's around there. But anyway,
I'm pretty sure the earliest you can get Sandshrew is
Rock
the-
Tunnel, right?
the route between Mount Moon and Cerulean City.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's where you find it.
okay. And
so.
so yeah, my first couple hours of Pokemon, interesting. Not what I was expecting.
In a good way, right?
Oh yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to like actually start the story at some point. So far, I'm still catching Pokemon.
I will say, for the both of you, the story in this one surprised me because it has not only my favorite ending to any Pokemon game, it's one of my favorite endings of any RPG ever. It's really good. It's really, really good.
I would not go that
Scarlet.
far because I love Pokemon Black and White too with my entire soul, but and I mean like I would die for the Alola plot also. That's like a whole separate conversation.
I have experienced the endings of Persona 2. This is a very, 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 very high bar.
I didn't say it was my favorite. I said it was one of my favorites. But yeah,
I think
Yeah.
Pokemon Scarlet. Good God, what a good game.
this.
I sure do wish they had not crunched it so that it could just straight up be the best game of the year, because it would have been.
I
but
really
for
am
right now,
feeling like. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I did not mean to speak over you.
No, it's okay. For right now, I think that my favorite game of the year is probably Kirby, just because holy shit, I was not expecting to fucking love this game. I was like, oh yeah, it's Kirby. I like Kirby. You know, you go through some worlds and you have some Kabi abilities and you fight God at the end. No big deal. It's just Kirby. We love Kirby. But no, like I love this game. It was so much fun, like exploring every nook and cranny and doing all the missions. And I'm like that might be recency bias because it's the most recent game I played. But like, it's not like I haven't also played Scarlet and Violet pretty close to recently. And I mean, like, there's also Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which I played fairly recently. That is also pretty good.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things about that one.
But I haven't finished it yet because this Pokemon came out and I got all into Pokemon, and now I've been playing this Kirby game, and holy shit, like to the degree, right? I 100%ed that file, and then I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to start a second file, which I barely ever do in games, like barely ever at all. But I was just like, I want to play through this game again because I want to evolve all my abilities again, and I want to do all this stuff again. I was like, what the hell? I never do this. But yeah, I have done that. I am currently playing through the second time. Because this game is really good.
Also, I just think I really like the experience in Scarlet and Violet of just minding my own business, doing some other shit, or wandering around while talking to people because my brain wants to occupy itself doing something. And I'm just kind of walking past Pokemon and I'm like, wait a fucking second. That right.
Oh yeah, that's another fun thing I noticed is that like tiny Pokemon are a menace.
Yeah, that's one of my big complaints about the game. Bigger than the performance and graphical issues. My biggest complaint about the game is that looking at tiny Pokemon, you can't tell if they're shiny. They're just too small. You
I
you
will
have
say
to
that
strain your eyes.
I will say I was able to find shiny Tadball
Nice.
just because the red is a bright enough red.
Yeah, it's a very bright, shiny. Although, like, I was hatching a whole bunch of them, and I was, like, constantly being like, no, see it. I'll know it when I see it. But, like,
It sparkles
Oh yeah, that's
But
another
yeah,
thing
but-
too. Is that like my shiny?
when they come out of the egg.
no, I know that.
It's a
but at the
spider
same
bed.
time-
Spider-Man colors. It's great.
Yeah, they really went in on that shiny. I think it's a very good one.
Yeah.
I also like the shiny version of its evolution.
Yeah.
But like its evolution is a little bit weird. Like I first got the evolution, I was like, oh, that's a little weird. But then it grew on me. Like I saw it in the overworld, and I was like, oh, okay, that actually does look kind of cool.
Yeah. So,
One of this-
game of the year for people.
Before we move on to Game of the Year, I want to talk about a game that is near and dear to my heart that nobody fucking cares about. Soul Hackers 2 came out in August.
Yeah,
It-
I will be playing it. I will be playing it.
I'm
have
not
it.
going
I've
to
had it
spoil
since release.
anything for you.
I know.
I
I'm
have
just saying.
heard about this.
I care about it.
It came out in August. So it was like, oh, the new Shin Megami Tensei game, sort of. I am fresh off of my experience with Persona 5. I have good memories of Shin Megami Tensei games that I've played in the past. I'm excited to get in on a Shin Megami Tensei game on the ground floor when it first comes out. And I thought, I'm going to stream this. This is going to be a brand new game, and presumably the Persona fans will want to watch it. Hopefully, I get a decent amount of people watching it. It's an RPG. Maybe I'll only get a few. No, nobody fucking showed up. I was streaming to nobody for like 2 weeks because nobody cares about the game. Nobody has any interest. Nobody paid attention to any of the marketing. It didn't even get marketed that much. The style didn't grab anybody. The mechanics didn't grab anybody. I had a great time and nobody fucking watched. It makes me so annoyed. And I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted that I literally did streams where there was nobody watching. I usually get a couple people who will either just watch everything I do or who will come in out of curiosity. I had whole like 3 or 4 hour streams to 0 viewers.
Mm-hmm.
It was insane. It's a black hole of apathy about this game, and it boggles my mind.
I think it's just that like the fandom of it, because like I saw some other people who were excited about it on the internet, but I just think that like that audience and yours do not overlap very much.
It didn't help that there was so little advertising for Soul Hackers 2.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it until about a month beforehand, and I'm kind of hooked on the series.
Yeah.
I will say I very much enjoyed the original Soul Hackers. That's probably of the SMT games I've played. It's probably my favorite at the moment.
Oh, nice.
The
It's the one with
loyalty
the dolphin
system.
that you have to
Yes,
feed
you have to
magic until
feed
it
magic.
explodes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's just been a comment in the chat that from Jessen that has made me want to reveal my hot take, which is that the explorer's story in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is not actually that special. Like, it's good. So don't get me wrong, it's handled well and it's good and it's fine, and it hits the emotional beats that it hits are very effective. But like those emotional beats are not like the entire story, and the rest of the story is just like a good RPG story. It's not like the best thing in the world. It's very good, and the Primal Dialga theme will elicit sense memories in me for the rest of my life. And the ending is phenomenal, but the entire story overarching is like fine. It's like it's good enough. It's like it's pretty good for an RPG. But Explorers is very slow in a lot of instances, and like all the PMD games are kind of slow. But it feels a little bit more slow to me Explorers does, just because it hasn't gotten an update. Like, to me, the comparable situations are PMDX, which is amazing, and it just feels so good to play, and it's like streamlined and really, really accessible. And Super, which is like really like challenging and has a really interesting story to me specifically, even though it starts out even slower. And Explorers just unfortunately doesn't play as well as the more modern games. And so the fact that it starts out kind of slow and like stays kind of paced slow for like the entire time kind of like hits even harder than it normally would. But so that's why like I think that it's just kind of suffers from being a little bit older than the other ones, and I hope that it gets re-released, like remastered, because I feel like that would, obviously that would be good. Like, I'm not saying that the story is bad, but I like Super more, and I've always liked it, and I've liked Super more ever since I played Super. And I don't think that PMD Explorers is like the pinnacle of storytelling. It's just a very good RPG. And I think that, I don't know if I would say Scarlet and Violet are better, but I would say that Black and White, that like Unova is better on the whole. Like,
those games have a fun story.
So like,
Great.
it's like, I mean, I think that Black and White 2 is better than Black and White, even like just in terms of the story.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. I disliked playing Black and White. I enjoyed Black and White too.
Like, I like Black and White fine, but Black and White 2 is so good as a sequel that it makes me never need to play Black.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Those games, like, titularly always exist in my brain as Black 2 and White 2 for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
why.
no, that is how they say it.
Okay,
in
I'm
the
just making
marketing.
sure I'm not
I just
insane.
say Black and White 2 because that's just how
Easier to say.
That's just how I've always said it. But also, like, I played Black version and White 2 version, so that's funny. So saying it that way is funny to me specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Before we get on
about Soul Hackers.
Yeah. Before we get on to Game of the Year, do you guys want to cap off with Game of the Year? Because if we want to finish with that, there are a few games I'm sure each of us wants to talk about before.
Yeah, there are some other games that like haven't gotten a chance to talk about, so let's do that first and then do Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, what? That sounds like a good idea. I have some interesting stuff in that vein.
Yeah.
That
I forgot to talk about Splatoon 3. Holy
oh my
shit.
god, Splatoon 3! I haven't played that in a while because I'm so into Pokemon.
I own a copy now. I plan to join you guys at some point.
Oh
Okay.
my god, are you
Ooh, we could
serious?
do-
Holy
we could do
shit.
it. We
We
can do
have
it as
to
a group.
We have to do salmon runs together.
Big recommendation, Lore. The story might be worth streaming.
Oh yeah, that would be
the
really
single-player
cool.
story mode.
Single
Ooh.
mode has,
good.
it's a really good tutorial for the mechanics as well, and it's real. The story's just really good this time around as well. So like, yeah, absolutely stream the story.
I've still not actually played the story, but honestly, I'd probably enjoy watching it as the stream more.
The story is so good though. Like, holy
Yeah,
shit,
Laura,
it's so much fun.
I'm saying I can learn it. I can see the story that way.
Hey, Lore, you know how Path of Exile has, like, lore text jumps that it'll throw at you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Splatoon 3 has those in its story mode.
How much do you know about Splatoon's lore?
I know they're kids and also squids.
Oh my god, he doesn't know.
I feel like I shouldn't tell you anything, even the stuff that would be from Splatoon 1 and 2, because Splatoon 3
Oh
just
my God.
slaps
It would
the
probably
fuck
be
out of
way
No.
funnier to see me completely blind on the series.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah, I
God,
can't tell
you
you.
know.
I can't tell you anything about Splatoon's like whole thing now.
I can't say anything now.
I guess we can save this conversation for after that then.
But I think mechanically, Splatoon 3.
I
is
did
great.
play Splatoon 3 multiplayer in the Splatfest that was right before it came out, and I very much enjoyed it.
Which
Yeah.
weapons did you play?
I tried the shotgun, and then I tried the big roller, and stuck with that for the rest of the stream.
There's an
Dynamo?
even wider roller now.
Wow.
Wait. Which roller? Was it the Dynamo roller, or was it just the regular roller?
There's the itty bitty roller, and then there's the wide one that's,
That
Really
takes a
slow?
long time to swing.
yeah.
Oh my god, you're a Dynamo main. You're an endangered species, Lord. Holy shit.
to the surprise, to the shock of everybody who's used that weapon, and to the surprise of no one who knows my weapon choices generally, really ended up enjoying the bow.
The bow's actually really fun. Honestly, I like both of the bows plenty. I'm not really good with them, but I think they do have a very fun play style.
I ended up really liking the reflux.
The reflux is hilarious.
It's strangely good at killing.
Yeah, it's just, but like only if you fire it specifically in like one mode, it's really good at killing, and in the other mode, it's really good at turfing.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I mean, a lot of weapons have that dichotomy.
I was regularly getting like most turf inked in the whole match with the roller.
Oh, if you like to ink turf with the roller, you might really like the big swig roller, because it's like 1.5 times the width of the dynamo, but swings at the
I was also getting lots of kills by just running over people, which was very satisfying.
Yeah, the rollers are really fun for.
Oh yeah, I got like 3 or 4 kills a game with the dynamo, easy.
That's not how you play the dynamo.
It is how Lore plays it.
I don't understand.
Well, I mean, Lore was playing against people in the beta who never played before, so there you go.
But I mean, like, plenty of people who were playing the beta haven't played before. I got my ass kicked in the beta, and I was playing weapons that I liked.
Love, there is something you need to know about Lore's history in games, especially when streaming them, is he has a habit of encountering a problem and then ramming his face into it repeatedly.
In this case, literally.
I mean, like, I also do that, but it doesn't work for me.
But by the way, speaking of...
The first time Lore got to Matador, the first time he played Shin Megami Tensei 3, like, everybody was betting against him because of the way he was just face planting everything, and when he succeeded while continuing to faceplant, because for some reason Matador just did not decide to do any of its deadly stuff, we were just like...
They were so mad!
By the way,
yeah,
Lore,
I can see that.
Speaking of JRPGs and smashing your face against stuff, did you know that you could have had an additional inventory slot during the Jebel fight?
No!
You can throw away the manual.
But that would be mean. That would make Ralsei sad.
It's actually really funny.
It literally does do that.
Yeah, the first time you try to throw it away, Ralsei's like, "Oh, you dropped this, Chris," and puts it back in your inventory. And the second time you throw it so hard that the papers like scatter on the wind. And he's I'll make you another one.
I think you have to do it more than just twice. It's like 4 or 5 times to get it to break. But like the only way your other option is when you have moments where you've not got any party. Yeah, so you can do it without hurting his feelings.
Jessen makes an excellent point. You can throw away the manual, but how could you?
Yeah, you can also use the manual in battle.
It's a real Earthbound situation where, like, you've got all this shit that you need to keep for later clogging up your inventory, and you only have so much space. I've only played, like, the first hour and a half of Earthbound, but people talk about Earthbound, and I know that the inventory is one of the big things that people are like, when it comes to Earthbound.
The manual actually does exist in the game's files.
Oh yeah, there are actually image files for the manual, but you can only access them by going to the game's files and looking at them.
Yeah, because Chris doesn't like reading.
The thing is, it's all hand drawn by Ralsei. Like, here, I'll just post the front cover of it into the chat.
So, other games that we haven't gotten to talk about yet.
There you go.
Is I have, ever since it came out, also around August, I've been playing a lot of Multiverses. That's a very fun game.
I have heard things about this, but I'm not really interested in fighting games. I don't even really Smash that much, so I'm just like, eh.
It is very much like, I mean, like, I don't want to call it a Smash clone because we had that conversation already, but it does have like the same appeal. just
Like, I see
a
it and I
huge-
respect it, and that's cool.
yeah.
But I'm just like, good for y'all. Be over.
Yeah, but it is just a huge roster of characters that you know, and they are fighting.
Yeah.
Right now there is, and they have some pretty deep references to their material too. Like right now, because it is Christmas time, there is the Christmas event going on. There's the seasonal Christmas event going on in the game, and as part of the event, they have alternate skins for Jake and Finn. And they are their ugly sweaters from Holly Jolly Secrets. Is specifically the same outfit from that episode.
Yeah, everything I've seen about that shows that it's made by devs that really, really love the source material they're drawing from.
Oh yeah. Like another one was they were going to release Fern as an alternate skin for Finn. And they announced it, but then they delayed it because the feedback they got was like, well, it's not really a Fern skin if it doesn't have the voice. You know, if it's just the same voice as regular Finn, that's like, you know, that doesn't really work, especially because like Fern's whole thing is his existential terror about not being Finn.
Yeah, I mean, like, notably Smash has very similar situations to that, where like you're clearly supposed to be looking at like other characters, but like it's never really like explicit that you're like the other, like the skins are never explicit, they're just recolors inspired by. So it's never quite that bad.
Yeah, so like, but then they did in that's and brought it out like just a couple weeks ago, and Fern has it, and they got Fern's voice actor to come in and voice act, so like it's a proper Fern skin.
Nice.
My experience with multiverses is very much like, you know how sometimes you won't be too interested in a game, and then you hear like your friends playing, and you're like, okay, yeah, maybe I should get this game and get into it. Multiverses had like the opposite experience for me, where I'm like, oh, this looks neat, and then I heard my friends playing it and just them talking about like the structure of the game and how the free-to-play structure and everything works, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I don't know if I'm
there's
interested
like that.
in this.
There's like that whole thing. Like that stuff hasn't been so bad for me because like I bought one of the Founders Packs. It's like the $20 version, and like the Founders Pack gives you like token unlocks so you can unlock all of the characters right away.
Okay.
And once you do that, like you just have the full game. But yeah, there is a lot of free to play bullshit that you kind of just have to like with to get through it. But like once you have it, then you know you have it, and it's a fun game.
As long as there's a way that you can just buy the game, then I may be a little more interested.
Quick interruption. I gotta go to the bathroom, but when I get back, let me talk about farming games because
all right, it's like I still got more stuff to.
Yeah, because like I played a bunch of farming games, none of which came out this year, but I did play all of them this year, so I'd like to talk about them for just a little bit.
Don't worry, we'll be getting to an old game I played in a little bit too. So
cool.
But yeah, the other fun thing too is that like there are just interactions between the characters with voice lines, and that's a lot of fun. Like, so like you have things where like, you know, Finn is super excited to meet the crystal gems, and
really?
And, like, yeah, and like Steven is excited to hang out with the Justice League and that sort of thing. It's like, like Garnet. It's like Garnet especially has a whole lot of fun things around her. Like Garnet throws shade at Batman, which is the funniest fucking thing. like Garnet has a voice line where she's just like, "Oh, rich man with a funny coat. Okay, sure." It's like,
Doesn't Velma just have sass for absolutely everyone?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I still love that they patched Velma from calling the police to calling the mystery machine.
So it's gone from like being able to get the Iron Giant arrested, which is just a rather amusing concept, to
absolutely
to Mystery Incorporated literally abducting people.
Yeah, a really funny one I noticed recently while I was playing is for the they had a seasonal Halloween event as well, and they released Black Lantern, Superman, and Black Lantern Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's dark. That's dark.
Oh yeah, it gets darker. I haven't even started yet.
Oh boy.
So yeah, you have if you're familiar with the comics, or if you're not familiar with the comics, rather, the Black Lanterns are basically zombies. It's more complicated than that, but like they are zombies.
Yep.
And so you have zombie Superman and zombie Wonder Woman. Zombie Wonder Woman fucking hates Garnet and goes in hard and personal against her when they fight each other. It's so ridiculous. There was one time where a fight started, and the first thing that happens when the fight starts is zombie Wonder Woman says, "Ah, Garnet, I've met many of your friends on the other side."
Ooh!
I was stunned. I literally just sat there for like 30 seconds of the match, not doing anything, because I was just stunned.
Oh, shit!
Shit, that went way harder than I thought it was.
Yeah!
My very first exposure to Steven Universe was somebody telling me about it, and oh my god, the way they described it was not accurate at all. Specifically, they told me that it was about a boy with no powers who grew up with superhero sisters, and together they were trying to rescue their mother from another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
What
Where
the
did
fuck
they
show was
understand
that? Were they
about-
watching?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like, oh wait, another. Because Zombie Wonder Woman had a bunch of these quotes. Another one was, "Do you think Rose misses you as much as you miss her?" It's like,
Ooh! Oh!
Ah!
Ooh!
Yeah!
Jesus
Like,
Christ!
Jesus Christ, yeah. Oh. And so that's great. Like, so yeah, you gotta deal with some free to play bull game, but you get it's worth it. There's definitely stuff in there that's worth it.
Most of the stuff that had turned me off was them talking about, oh yeah, I gotta do this mission, and I'm just like, God, that sounds so annoying to do that.
Yeah.
Just to, like, earn characters. But if you can just straight up buy characters and it's not prohibitively expensive, then okay.
Yeah, well the other thing too is that like at this point now, like just from because like I bought all the characters when they first came out, like the other thing is like the way you unlock new characters is with gold. Because of course it's a free to play game, so I've got like a zillion different currencies, right?
Yeah.
And you unlock characters with gold, and at this point I have enough gold to like unlock, 10 new characters. Like if they just suddenly dropped 10 new characters out of nowhere tomorrow, I could still just get it because you get gold pretty regularly, and if you just play consistently, you'll be getting the stuff you need. And so like you'll miss out on all the cosmetics because you buy the cosmetics a different currency, which you have to buy with real money because that's how they get you. But whatever, the game's still fun.
I personally don't mind cosmetic DLC, microtransactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a problem with that. Maybe it's just because I come from Path of Exile, where that's their primary income, and they refuse to sell any kind of pay-to-win advantage.
Right.
Unless you're in Chinese or Korean territories.
Yeah, but they don't control the Chinese
That's not a
version of the game.
criticism. That's not a criticism. That's just my brain being like, you have to provide the information, Teddy. Give it to them.
Yeah, it's basically the same way Final Fantasy XIV handles its
Pretty much,
microtransactions.
yeah.
Like I saw somebody complaining that Final Fantasy XIV was pay to win because you can pay to have a level skip. It's like that doesn't really help you because literally all of the content lowers your level to match it. What do you think your level skip is going to do?
And also because most of the people that get level skips either are just really wanting to play where their friends are and are willing to skip the story, or are just leveling up an alt to play in like a different data center region, which they've done a lot to like ameliorate that sort of
Yeah, or to skip the level 1 to 50 with the Realm Reborn jobs.
Yeah.
See, I manually leveled all my jobs into like
Same.
the 80 to 90 range, and my interest got pulled somewhere else. But it's nice to know that if and when I go back, it won't be too much of a hassle to get everything up to 90. Really.
Yeah, I've got everything 90 now except the crafting jobs.
I ended up spending a lot of time in Bosnia for like the 80 to 90. Not because it was like the most like time efficient, but just because I liked boss.
Yeah, that's valid.
I guess
And
specifically
it's not the
Zadnor,
quick. It's not the, but it's quick enough, and hey, it's Baja. It's fun to hang out there.
Yeah.
Well,
Especially with Zadnor being like, oh yeah, you can make yourself immensely powerful if you just do stuff. I'm like, okay.
I've been helping a friend go through Eureka, which
Eureka has had no interest to me because literally the only external reward to Eureka is like minions and cosmetics, and I'm like,
and of course it has the relic weapon attached to it as well. But at this point, that is cosmetic. But
Yeah.
the friend I'm doing it with wants to get it done before moving into the Stormblood patch content, so I've been helping out with it, and it's been profitable.
oh yeah,
That's the
yeah,
other thing
you
too.
definitely
Yeah,
get help.
you do get some good loot in there.
Yeah, and like one bunny gave me 100,000 gil from a chest. Like,
Yeah, well, it's like I got like all of like the cosmetic gear sells pretty well, or at least a lot of it does.
I think that's just because people aren't really incentivized to go in there to get it because
there's
Yeah.
usually like 2 or 3 dozen people when you go in still.
in the
Yeah, but,
same
like,
numbers.
I mean, everybody wants a Pego shirt. One's willing to get it. So
Yeah,
supply and demand, baby. It's
Yeah.
the economy. It's
yeah.
capitalism.
Did you just call it a Peggle shirt?
A Pagus.
It's the Pegos shirt, or is it? Yeah, I think it's pronounced Pegos, but it's
Oh,
an area called
Pegos.
Pegos.
If they ever take like any side content back to Pagos, you know that people are going to be making the Peggle 2 meme about it. Pagos 2.
But
I'm
yeah,
surprised they didn't do that about Bostia.
when it comes to games I've played this year, besides playing a hell of a lot of 14, due to the mental state I've been in for quite some time, I've not found myself committing properly. I've played Digimon Survive. I've got one of the endings in that, and I am partway through the truth path, which the truth path can only be accessed in New Game Plus, and it's more like a normal Digimon anime series compared to the path that I got in the normal in my first playthrough, which basically became Evangelion.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not even me being sarcastic. I am being quite literal. It was a bloody good story for as a BN and a Digimon fan.
I ran into a shiny Palmy at random, and it's such a cute pink.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was
Love's
hunting
going to be
shiny
so
Swablu.
mad.
I was hunting shiny Swablu, and I just happened to see this thing off to the side.
Let's see.
Welcome back to the stream. Someone.
I'm also bit by bit making my way through Shin Megami Tensei 5 very slowly. Like I said, having trouble committing. But I've been in a lot better mindset since I think probably the christening that I went to, where I'm now godfather to my best mate's new son.
Oh, that's nice.
Great.
Yeah.
And the first major game that I've got since then, for Sonic Frontiers, I did actually play it the entire way through. Slight tip: fishing is overpowered.
Yeah, so I hear.
I was like, I did a little bit of fishing, and then suddenly I had maximum stats. Like, not
That's
even
what
close.
fishing should be in a JRPG. I mean, fishing is overpowered in Fire Emblem Three Houses. You get so much professor level from fucking fishing.
Yeah, well, you can get the seeds of power and seeds of defense that increase your attack and defense, as well as the cocos that improve your max speed and rings from Big's fishing. It's two coins or whatever it is for each of the seeds, and it's like 5 coins for 20 of the cocoa. And by the last island, by the third island, I think, you are getting 48 coins per fish.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I was very, very quickly getting just like 1,000 of everything. It was
Fishing game's
ridiculous.
as good as it should be.
See, I played some Splatoon with Teddy. That was fun, and I also played a big chunk of Phantasy Star Online and currently Monster Hunter Rise with Ryu, Serpentine, and Haven VTuber on stream with them, which is. It's certainly a lot easier to commit to games when you're playing with other people. Mostly because you're not necessarily there for the game experience, you're there to be with people. Which has helped keep me sane this year. Which, of course, very much applies to our Sundays in 14.
I'm happy to help, man.
I'm really glad that I kind of was able to nudge you towards 14. I'm sorry that I ended up having to, kind of drop patronage for it.
Well, that's fine.
You know.
You manage your own finances, man. You did throw money at me for Deltarune, which I massively appreciate.
I also have a little bit of funny little personal pride to I basically helped Lore figure out that he wanted to do the patron pick thing for games.
Yeah, and thank you for pushing me to do that because it eased my burdens immensely.
And for telling you to value your time, because the initial price points you were thinking of, I was like, no, you should charge more.
I did settle on $10 an hour. I started with 15, but that didn't get much reception, and I felt it was too high a price point for my audience. But $10 an hour has been very successful. What was it that I originally floated charging that you thought was too low?
If I recall, it was around 5 or something, and I was like, no!
Did I offer $5 an hour? That is way too low.
I don't remember the exact specifics, but I think it was lower than 10, and I was like, you need to value your time, I swear to God.
Yeah.
I may have, Teddy, I may have been describing you to my family as aggressively generous.
You are.
Yeah, listen, for what purpose are we on this planet if not each other?
Yeah. And you are very kind. Thank you for both of my presents.
I'm also just lucky that, I don't... I live with 2 roommates, and I don't currently, have to worry about, the cost of a car and fuel and stuff, because I just bike to work, so, I have less money sinks than other people do. Also, additionally, I'm also having a little bit of pride where I'm like, oh yeah, the games I chose for Lore to play have been popular for him to stream. Ooh, I have such good taste.
I seriously was getting a consistent 30 viewers for Deltarune. It was nuts!
People love Deltarune. Honestly, once you reach Chapter 2, that might go up.
Really?
I would not be surprised. Chapter 2 is such an unexpected and just bewildering jump in quality.
And it really is. It's so good.
And it's just wait.
Talk about that later.
Yeah.
Games can be this fun?
Yeah. For me, when Chapter 1 came, I was like, yeah, this is nice. I look forward to seeing how it develops. Chapter 2 was like, holy shit, I look forward to seeing how this develops.
Chapter 2 is I'm like, this shit's free?
Not free for long.
Fuck
In that chapter, they're going to charge for it.
Toby
He
was
said that about Chapter 2!
Well, he also said early in that he was just going to release 2 to 7 as one big chunk, but we see him that panned out. Now it's 1 and 2, and then 3 to 5, and then 6 and 7 together, I think, is his plan.
That's the plan, yeah.
Yeah.
Love has been gone for a while.
Yeah, she takes relatively long bathroom breaks. She'll be back eventually. Which is fine, because I have a couple games I want to talk about.
Sure. Yeah.
One of them I'm going to save for when she's back, so I can make sure that whether she cares about spoilers for it or not, but the other two. So, the big elephant in the room for this year, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah.
Which won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, deservedly, despite me not enjoying it. I didn't have fun playing Elden Ring.
I've not played it. Again, I have. I always find myself rather skeptical about
FromSoft?
Soulsborne?
open world games.
Yeah. Like the
It's why I was
combat.
skeptical for years.
The combat just didn't grab me, and I was looking at the experience I was promised, where it's very grim, very dark, very hopeless, and the lore was less a story than a bunch of lore snippets you can piece together, and I was like, I'm not having fun with this game, so I put it down, which is not to say that I think it's a bad game. I think that Elden Ring is everything Cyberpunk promised it would be and failed to deliver. Elden Ring is a massive, high-quality gaming experience that delivers exactly what it promises, even if what it promises is not something I wanted for myself. And unlike Cyberpunk, it lives up to the hype. It was a gaming cultural event on par with the biggest releases of the last 20 years. And it succeeded. People like it. It's good. It breaks the mold. It's honestly stunning how positive a force Elden Ring has been.
Yeah, I ended up not playing Elden Ring. Like, I was thinking about buying Elden Ring, and then I realized, oh wait, I own Dark Souls and Bloodborne and haven't actually played either of those. So maybe instead of spending $60 on another game I'm play, maybe I should play those games instead.
Yeah.
And so I did, and they were fun.
I did play Souls like this year though. Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise.
Oh
yeah, that was this year.
Year, wasn't it?
And it's actually really good. I still need to finish it because again I've been having commitment issues, but I also need to. I've been specifically playing it with a friend, and we need to organise finishing it.
Yeah,
But
I've heard that like it's really good gameplay. The story is an acquired taste. I've heard.
Acquired
Well,
taste.
I think everybody figured it out from.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like the exact complexities of the story, it's a lot more than the thing you obviously figure out right away.
Chaos.
Yeah.
It's like it's off the wall and really strange in a way that I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm definitely impressed that they just kind of went for that, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
sure, fucking okay.
Yeah,
It's like, all right, pop off. Go ahead with this nonsense.
Nonsense is how I've heard it described.
And the thing is, all the jobs actually do play very differently, but they're all a lot of fun. It's really quite well made, and I especially need to play it more now that they've added blue mages to it.
So wait,
hell
they're
yeah.
adding new classes?
Yeah.
They're supporting the game after.
Is it like free updates or is it like paid with like was it bundled with the Gilgamesh thing?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it was bundled. I think they were bundled with the Warrior of Light and the Gilgamesh DLCs, and apparently there is another DLC coming out very soon, and I think that's the final one they're doing.
So, a question. You said this was a Souls-like. I had thought it was more like Devil May Cry. Which is it more like?
Very much a Souls-like.
Huh.
You got the combat is very slow, methodical. It's very focused around being able to parry your opponent's attacks. All of your attacks have wind up and momentum to them. It's very much Souls-like.
Huh.
Speaking of stuff like Dark Souls, I've had a friend of mine, actually I think it was my roommate, say that he was surprised that I wasn't into stuff like Dark Souls because I would describe the games I was playing to him and he'd be like, okay, so you're telling me you play Hades on Hell mode with like a bunch of heat. You've played through Celeste and you like to sometimes do like speed runs of the first sets of chapters. So you really like challenging yourself with difficult games, but you don't play the titular challenging difficult games.
Also, since From Software was mentioned earlier, I would just like to say that I would be a much bigger fan of From Software if they remembered that Tenchu existed. I love that series.
Well, hey, I mean,
We just got another Armored Core.
They find or exists, So maybe
Yeah.
maybe Tenchu is next.
Well,
Maybe
apparently
we'll dust off that one later.
Sekiro was intended to be a Tenchu game, but then they were like, "Oh wait, shit! We've put like so much Dark Souls into this. It's nothing like Tenchu anymore. We best change the name." But they're like they haven't even ported Tenchu Z, which is a 360 game, onto Steam or anything, which would be really easy to do because it's a 360 game, and it's not even a big game, and it's a multiplayer game, so it would be rather fun to actually play that multiplayer. Something
Also,
like batch of ninjas all taking different routes and taking out your opponents stealth-wise.
I might end up dipping before the next hour comes around, which is fine probably because I don't have a game of the year because I'm very strange in that I struggle to play favorites with like a very wide range of like media. So when it comes to like fucking, video games, what's my game of the year? I don't know. I like a lot of them. They're very good. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I have basically already talked about my game of the year.
Yeah, I heard you talk about as I was coming in 14 already, so I don't want to just repeat that conversation.
Yeah, I really can't really say anything besides Final Fantasy 14 because it's been keeping me sane all year, and it's been something I've been able to share with people that I care about.
Yeah.
And
well, I do have a game of the year discussion to have between two different games, one of which we've talked about, one of which we haven't. So I'll have that at least.
Also, I'm very glad you enjoyed Ghost Trick as much as you did.
That's one of the games I want to talk to before we get to Game of the Year.
Hype. Yeah.
I have two games left that I want to talk about before we get to Game of the Year. Ghost Trick is one of them. Metal Gear Solid is the other.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
But are there other games you guys want to talk about? I don't want to do a bunch in a row.
I think I'm getting close to the end here.
Fair enough.
I guess not technically a video game, but I've very much been enjoying Dungeons and Dragons this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm.
Oh, yeah, you found some people to play with, didn't you?
Yeah, my best mate, my best mate is a dungeon master, and he found other people to play with, and I've been playing as a paladin. And hello.
I'm
Hello.
back.
Welcome back.
Sorry.
And between me as Danan the paladin, Talinda the ranger, Idris the rogue, and Adris the cleric, we have been driving my best mate completely mad as dungeon master.
Great.
We also had another player very early on who was a dwarf called Magnus, but he had to stop playing very shortly after, and we just kind of joked about him just being in a coma in the inn, and like every time we went back to the town we like put different things in the room, and like the joke was that by this point he's just in a coma with his beard shaved off, loads of fermenting food around him, an army of little demonic twigs that we'd found.
Yeah.
and then at this point, like the fact that he's not playing anymore has become a plot point because he's just vanished. No one knows what happened to him. No one remembers him besides our crew, so it's become a mystery as to where he is.
Interesting.
Speaking of tabletop RPGs, I've actually been thinking lately, specifically with like love and lore, that it might be I might be interested in maybe running a funny little Pokemon tabletop game for you.
I have
Oh, that'd be
wanted
fun.
to try that game a few different times, but I am
And I'm not
so
talking about
bad
specifically.
with tabletop games.
I'm not talking specifically about PTU. I'm going to explore some of the options to see if any of them will be easy to pick up and play.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But
Yeah.
I felt like I know that Love is very heavily invested in the sort of narrative bond between a person and their Pokemon, and in storytelling and stuff. And I thought that maybe that might be exciting for Love to find some sort of game that's a good fit and just have some fun little adventures with Pokemon.
See, here's the thing. It's just like I could keep writing my fanfic, though. Like that's the whole thing. I could just keep doing it.
I guess, but
so-
for me, there's definitely a difference between in fiction and collaborative play fiction. Oh, by the way,
Yeah,
Love,
I
while you
get
were
you.
gone, Love, I caught 2 shiny Swablu and a shiny Pawmi.
I'm going to scream. I'm literally going to punch you in the face. Like, holy shit.
And earlier during the stream, I caught a shiny Raichu at random. Again.
So, Love, we're coming up on Game of the Year discussions.
Okay,
There are
so very quick, I'm just going to talk about farming games. I got really into Stardew Valley during the middle of the year, August, September type deal. And what actually happened was that I heard that there was a remake of my old childhood Harvest Moon game. Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town came out a couple of years ago at this point for Switch. And I was like, okay, let's do some nostalgia-ing. And so I played that, and I played a little bit of it, and then I played some Stardew Valley, and I got really into both of them. And I was just because I talked earlier about how I want to do all of the things in a game as methodically as possible, but if I run out of things to do or I'm just going through the motions, then it's and so that often happens in farming games where it's just I don't know what to do now. But I managed, but I was at a point in school and stuff at around October actually, where I was just I need something that I can do to spend my energy where I don't have to think about it very much, and farming games filled that itch, and it was very nice. And I eventually picked up Rune Factory 4 and 5, and I haven't done a lot in 5. The Rune Factory 4 special was pretty fun. I finished the first leg of the story. There's multiple.
Is Rune Factory 4 the one where you determine your gender near the start, depending on what you say from being thrown up into the air, or am I thinking about a different game?
It's related to that, yes.
Where the options are, yeah, I'm flying high, and oh goodness, I'm so high up, and that determines your fucking
That's the one,
gender.
yes. You're on an
Dear
airship.
God.
Yes, it's Rune Factory 4 is very funny.
the two genders.
You're on an airship and you're some kind of special person, and then you get knocked on the head by these pirates that try and assail your airship, and then you're who the hell am I? And then you get knocked off the airship and you land on the back of this giant this cool guy dragon, who's what the heck are you doing? And you're just I have no idea. Help? And the dragon's you must be the prince. And I'm and you're what? No? And so she's okay, you're in charge now. You get to decide what's going on in the kingdom at various points, but also go do farming tasks. And you can explore the world and do combat if you want.
Work the fields, blue blood.
Yes, and then later on, the actual prince shows up, and he's okay, you have fun with that. I'm just gonna go run a shop. I'm just gonna go run a history shop, basically, and I'll tell you the weather. And I'm just this game is so weird, but I couldn't put it down. The combat's not exactly groundbreaking, but it's fairly fun, and the characters are funny and interesting, and there's a lot of it's definitely pretty neat. The story is kind of cool, and it's just very silly and a good time. So yeah, I had some fun with farming games this year, and I didn't want to leave those out.
Nice. Well, I have 2 games I want to talk about before we get to Game of the Year to close out the stream. Both of which are old games. The first of which is Metal Gear Solid, which I played for the first time this year for a patron. And I have very mixed feelings about it. Like, it's a classic. I can see why it's a classic. It does things with narrative and staging and drama and cinematography that no game had ever done before it. And I can see why that was a huge deal. But the moment-to-moment gameplay, for me, was rough.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You
the other thing, too, is, like, you're basically the second iteration of stealth in video games, period. The first iteration being Metal Gear Solid, or not Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear, period. Just that, the NES game.
Not quite. Between Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid, we also had the very first 3D stealth game, Tenchu 1.
Oh, well, there you go. But you see what I mean? Like,
Yeah, very early
like,
on.
Yeah, like this is this is the foundation upon which the genre is built.
Yeah,
So it's rough.
And in fairness to the gameplay, it was actually very impressive for the time. A lot of while
I defy you to tell me that the sniper rifle mechanics in Metal Gear Solid were impressive for the time. That is the single worst gunplay mechanic I have ever experienced in a video game.
Lore, impressive doesn't mean good.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was other thing you have to remember, Lore, this was back in the day when it was just sort of an accepted wisdom that first-person shooting with controllers just didn't work at all.
Mm.
It's like it was mouse and keyboard for first-person shooters or nothing. The PlayStation did not have 2 joysticks by default.
Yeah.
And Metal Gear Solid, while it was compatible with the analog stick, it still only used 8 directional movement rather than full analog, and it was very much designed with the analog lacking controller in mind. It was groundbreaking at the time.
Oh yeah.
But it's just not aged well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what makes Twin Snakes so weird as a game, because Twin Snakes fixes the controls, but it makes the game absurdly easy because if you can actually aim and shoot at the same time in that game, nothing's a challenge anymore.
Yeah.
I'll be real with you. I
it's
thought
very
you
funny.
said twin sticks.
I will say that
Metal Gear Solid, the twin stick shooter.
Metal Gear Solid was impressive in that it chose to at least try to do stuff that other developers would have been like, no, it won't work.
Yeah.
And that's what was really impressive about it, was that it was trying. Even if it failed sometimes, it was fucking trying. And I'm not even a Metal Gear Solid stan. I'm just genuinely impressed that they just tried to do so much bullshit with that game. Like the developer photo ghosts thing, ridiculous. Why would they do that? But it's there, and it's impressive, and it's interesting.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid very much reminds me of the joke from Wooly's review of Reboot, the old CGI animated show.
Oh, that's a classic.
When, Overly Sarcastic Productions, Red loves that show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I liked it a lot as a
Wooly
kid.
has a video, and he's like, now I know what you're thinking. You're looking at this footage, and it looks kind of janky, but when you compare it to its contemporaries, which were fucking nothing, literally nothing, there was nothing else that looked like this. It was pretty impressive.
When did Transformers Beast Wars come out?
A little
That
after.
was
after Reboot.
Yeah.
However, despite what people say about Reboot being the first CGI cartoon, it was not. There was a French show called Insectors first, which has 2 different English dubs, one for America and one for the UK.
That's funny.
You run into the Metroid problem with some of these pieces of media, where the first Metroid game invented a genre. It revolutionized gaming. It was something nobody had ever seen before, and it was completely blown out of the water by the sequel. To the degree where the first Metroid game is almost unplayable today.
Oh yeah.
It happened to lesser degrees with Borderlands, with Batman Arkham Asylum,
the original Star Wars Battlefront. Like, if you go back to, like, Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 from the Xbox days, like, Battlefront 1 looks like a demo for Battlefront 2. It's absurd.
I remember playing the PS2 version of Battlefront 2 a lot as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I always wanted to be the droidicas. They rolled into a ball.
Oh, yeah, they're fun. Oh yeah, the Droidicas were a lot of fun. I had a blast with Battlefront 2, but like...
I just like rolling in video games, I think.
I just realized that the Crab Tank special in Splatoon 3 is basically briefly becoming a Droidica, isn't it?
It really is,
Yep.
and I do really like it. Speaking of
It's also
speaking of Splatoon 3, actually, there is going to be a Splatfest next weekend. Not
next week.
tomorrow, but like a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, starting at I think 7 p.m. today, you can pick a team and start like powering up
I picked
your
a
shirt.
team just a bit ago, actually.
Which team did you pick?
I'm Team Sweet. I can't. I'm sorry.
What are the different teams? What is it?
Spicy, sweet, and sour.
Ah.
Yeah. I'm Team Sour just because somehow my taste I keep ending up either not caring about the theme and picking Big Man because of that, or my taste just happens to line up with Big Man's. And listen, you get sweet food from half of the normal food that you eat normally anyways because we live in oversweetened capitalist dystopia.
Exactly.
American bread is sweet. Why is American bread sweet?
I don't like it either.
Screw you.
Yeah, spicy feels more like a meal food for me, and this is about your favorite like snack taste, basically. And sour is
some people
not...
like Takis.
Oh yeah, I like Takis. I love Takis. But what I'm saying is like sour to me feels like a distinctly snack taste. There
like
aren't that
savory.
many normal sour.
All right, we are way off topic.
Yeah,
We're exactly on
if
topic.
it's a salty option,
Let's talk about Ghost Trick
that.
because I don't want to be here all day.
Beast of the year.
I have a D&D game tonight, and I don't
Okay,
wanna
yeah,
play.
let's move on to the last pre-game of the year game I want to talk about, which is Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. And before I talk about this, who here cares about spoilers and hasn't played the game?
I do want to play the game. At some point, you offered to lend it to me, and I need to take you up on that offer later.
Okay. So I won't go into specifics about the plot, but Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, I've concluded, is my favorite DS game. The mechanics are stellar. The basic premise is you play as an amnesiac ghost trying to solve his own murder. And as a ghost, you possess objects in the environment, you transfer yourself between them, you have a small transference range between which you can possess items, and you can do stuff, poltergeist stuff, like you can make it rock, you can knock it over, you can turn buttons on and off, and you have to do these things to solve puzzles to save people's lives.
And even moving is a puzzle. For example, you might possess a wheel and use your tricks to roll it to get to places.
And it's so good, and the story is stellar, and great characters all around, great plot, great twists and turns, and I love all the characters in it. It's so good, and I highly, highly recommend the game to everyone.
Yeah, our little green friend is just brilliant. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you for getting me into that game, Danny. It's a favorite. Thank you.
You are quite welcome.
So, let's talk about Game of the Year. Games that came out in 2022. We'll do me last, because I have a whole discussion about the two games I'm deciding between. And I want to cap it off with a particular game at the end of the stream. It's not a whole discussion, it's a couple basic points, but who wants to go first?
I'll start us off. For me, Game of the Year, I mean, it's kind of cheating, but, like, it's Final Fantasy. Because, there's new stuff coming out. Like, there is new content from this year, and the new content from this year is also good. Yep. I feel fine. I feel justified calling that my Game of the Year. Especially since Endwalker came out so late last year, it practically is a game for this year anyway, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that we're still getting
it's a
Walker content.
Yeah, even without that, we've still got 6.1 and 6.2.
Yeah, with 6.3 coming out in like a week and a half, so that's
Yes.
great. Yeah, also like this year I managed to buy a house in Final Fantasy, which is great because I've been trying to do that for a year. So that's good. It's a good game. Good game. Still enjoy playing it. Can't really talk about because Laura's here.
Sorry.
But yeah, like because like the new stories, because it's a whole new story that we're playing in, and it's a lot of fun.
Yep, we have reached
same.
we have reached a major conclusion. The original overarching story has finished. We are building to something new.
And
We are
that must be
complete-
exciting.
Yeah,
But you
we
still
are
gotta
completely
catch up.
It is
territory.
kind of fun. Or where you are at in the game, like you have gotten a lot of hints about what's coming. You've learned what an Ascian is, what a dragon is, what primals are. You know about all these.
Is? Oh man.
You know about all these places that you've heard about, but you haven't had a chance to visit yet. So
You know about the Catholic French elves hating the dragons.
Yeah, you know things.
Yeah, like,
Fair guess at what's coming up next. With Danny, Teddy, and I, we really we have some idea of where we're going, what the next expansion is going to be about, but we really don't know.
They've definitely given us a lot of options.
The one thing we know for certain is that we're getting female Hrothgar later, and
Oh,
we're
cool.
all just waiting and keeping our fingers crossed that they are properly buff.
Please let them be buff. Please let them be large.
Female
what we can-
Hrothgar are all Meowskaradas.
Yeah,
No.
when it comes to the story, we are just lost in a void to find out what's coming next.
See,
Masquerada is cool, but
I like Meowscarada, but it's not a buff kitty.
It's not buff enough. But yeah, so that's all I'm going to say on Final Fantasy 14. And once you get more story progress, you can come visit my house sometime. You can decorate it a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and at some point, you'll have to make an alt on my world just so you can visit my place. once you're at the point where my decorations won't spoil things.
I look forward to it.
Anyway,
so many
next
good
game of the
games
year.
here.
Okay, so I have no fucking idea. I am so prone to bias that I'm just like,
If you can't pick just one, kind of think about games that you liked and see if you can kind of assign best blank of the year to each of those.
I have
It's
two that I'm going to discuss, so.
Like the big three, right, are the two Pokemon games and Kirby. Those are the big three for me. Because there have been other games that have come out this year, but none of the I wouldn't want to. I don't feel like I would want any of them other than the two Pokemon games, which are both they offer such different experiences, and then the new Kirby game, which I have loved way more than I was expecting to. I'm sure that there's something else that I'm forgetting is the problem. Splatoon 3 is cool, and I appreciate that it's out, but it isn't super amazing just yet. Oh my god, I didn't talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel at all, and I meant to. But that's not my
Unfortunately,
game of the year
we're
at all.
coming to a close, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's not my game of the year at all. Although it did influence a lot of how my year went, so it is very much a thing. But because there's so many different other things that oh my god, wait, Rune Factory 5 did come out this year. Oh my god, okay, so that counts. But I didn't play that much of it, so it's fine. But yeah, I think that I have to give it to I'm just a kids game person who likes kid games, I guess, because I'm just sitting here yeah, I like I really liked the Pokemon games, and I really liked Kirby, and I have no idea which of those would be my favorite of the three, because they were all very good and offered me a lot of stuff, and I was addicted to all three of them. And I was just yes, 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 yes. I looked up Kirby fan fiction, okay? I found the Kirby light novels, because I'm just no, I actually care about these characters, because this is actually a really interesting world, and the lore is very interesting. and I'm not going to say anything else on it because I don't know how much you know about Kirby lore.
I kind of figured out I do have a game of the year, actually. You know what? Sure. Given how much it's influenced a couple of games that I actually really liked, and now that I've actually come around to it and I've been playing it and I've been very surprised by its ludicrous depth of content, I'll give Vampire Survivors Game of the Year.
Ooh.
It was released this year, October 20th.
Cool.
All right, so Danny, you and I are all that's left.
I've pretty much I've already talked a lot about Final Fantasy 14. So
Fair enough.
do you mind if I mention a game that I've been watching the progress of and I'm interested in seeing get released?
Go for it.
I've been watching an indie game being developed called Berserk Boy. It's very much sort of inspired by like Mega Man Zero and ZX kind of gameplay.
I liked Mega Man Zero.
And Mega Man ZX is my favorite Mega Man, which is very contrary to what a lot of Mega Man fans seem to say. But I don't really like Mega Man generally, so the fact that it's the least like Mega Man might be why I like it. Still,
Anyway.
but yeah, it's got amazing sprite art, and I've played the demo, and it's actually a really fun. So I'm very much interested in seeing that come out. So should be very much worth keeping my eye on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, there are a bunch of there are a couple interesting games coming out next year. I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy 16, big one.
Yes.
Hades 2, definitely. Like I said, it got me playing Hades 1 again.
I'll be streaming 3 games in the first 3 months that I'm looking forward to: Fire Emblem Engage, Dead Space Remake, and Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Ooh, yeah. Resident Evil 4 is coming.
Yep.
Forgot about that one.
Yep. And it's coming to PS4, so I'm gonna get to play it on console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't know if we should spend much time on stuff we're looking forward to next year because Minda's gotta go soon. But
Yeah.
I'm
I just wanted to
excited
mention
for
those.
RE4 make.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so Laura, you've got a couple games you want to talk about. So
Yes, we've talked about Pokemon Scarlet, and that's one of my 2. And it's incredibly fun. It's my favorite Pokemon game. It's an incredibly good experience. And I think it's a better game than my other choice, which is Stray. Stray, first of all, I'm very impressed with the devs for making it onto the Game Awards Game of the Year finalist slate with an indie game. And it deserved it. Stray is incredible. Stray as an experience, playing as a cat, is magical. And the atmosphere and world building and story are very moving and intriguing. The game made me cry. Like, straight up. I cried at the end of this game. And it's one of my more treasured gaming experiences over the course of my whole gaming career. And I think Scarlet is the better game, but I think Stray is the better work of art. I think Stray stands in a class of its own as a work of art, above all the games that came out this year and in many years. How do you guys feel about Stray?
Yeah, Stray's great.
I've consumed very little of it. All I know is post-apocalypse be a kiddie game.
I've not played any of it, and most of what I've seen is from you, but it looks adorable.
It's so cute.
Yeah, adorable counts for a lot.
I also think it's great that the main modding scene for Stray is literally I am going to put my cat in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
I did not know that. That's precious as fuck. What the hell?
Yeah, there are also mods to make you Garfield, because of course there bloody is.
Okay,
So
but
why
Garfield's great. Let's be real.
Yeah.
While Jim Davis is a bit of a hack, Garfield is great.
I watched.
We cannot blame the son for the sins of the father.
Was it?
I know
was it
nothing
Stu-
about John Davis or Jim Davis.
I don't think
Davis.
Jim Davis is outwardly like horrible or bigoted as far as I know, if I recall. but
He's not a
just,
bad
like,
person. He's just bad.
not funny.
Yeah.
He's just not funny.
Yeah.
He's a comedian whose jokes suck.
Which is
I
why he
feel like-
does. Which is why he does newspaper strips instead of anything else.
Yeah. I think Garfield is just beloved because Orange Cat that is grumpy is just something people like.
Yeah.
Understand? It's
Something
just like,
to-
yes, I have seen this cat.
So yeah, Stray's great. Pokemon Violet is a solid choice. Arceus also came out this year, which is fun. I think you talked about Arceus earlier.
Yeah,
Yes,
Arceus
that's-
is my third place for the year, which is saying
I-
something because Arceus was my favorite Pokemon game until Scarlet came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know whether to give it to Scarlet or Stray. I guess I'll have to give it a co-award like Love does, because
Yeah.
it's just impossible for me to choose.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for the year.
That
Aye.
good wrap
All
up.
right.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up.
Yep.
My
And,
voice is actually starting to go a little bit, so that's like a thing.
Yeah.
that after the worst year of my life, I'm very happy to see it end, and I've got my eyes heavensward.
Mhm.
Hooray!
Hell yeah. Technically, so
Yeah,
do I.
Yeah.
That was the
That was the
joke.
joke.
Fair enough.
So it's scheduled. Sunday is more Deltarune, you said, right?
Yep, Sunday's.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm not doing anything stream-wise tomorrow because it's a live blogging day. Sunday's going to be Deltarune. Monday's going to be Final Fantasy XIV and probably Shiny Hunting after. What I'm going to do on Monday, because I want to do 2.5 and all the trial or dungeon or whatever is involved in that on a Saturday when I can get viewers involved and make sure all of you guys are involved as well. So what I'm going to do Monday is I'm going to do Hildebrand 2.4, I'm going to do the New Year's event, and I'm going to finish 2.4 and leave it there and start 2.5 as the Saturday the 7th stream.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you'd like, depending on how much time you have once you finish 2.4, I could check the amount of quests leading to the
I
next.
think you've still got a fair amount of stuff before you hit a trial in MSQ.
True, just saying in case.
Well,
Yeah,
here's the
Realm
thing.
Reborn patch content is so long.
Yeah.
Do you think 2.5 is enough content to be just like 2.5 from start of the stream, 2.5 to the end of the stream 4 hours later?
2.5 is too much for that.
Really?
You're gonna have to. That's gonna be like a stream or two at our pace.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, maybe I will do some 2.5 on Monday.
Yeah,
People
2.2
regularly complain about how dense the Realm Reborn patch content is compared to everything else in the game.
Yeah, you've still got 4 quests for 2.4. There's 8 quests in 2.5, and then in 2.55 there's 16 quests.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a dungeon and a trial somewhere in there, and the trial is.
The dungeon and trial are in the 8 quests. After that, it is pure story until Heavensward.
Mm-hmm.
You're a pretty damn good story, honestly.
Oh yeah, stuff is gonna pick up very soon.
Nice.
Big
So,
stuff.
yeah,
It's why
please
we
do.
can't let you watch the. It's why we can't let you watch the opening to Heavensward yet.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, well, that sounds like a plan. Yeah, it'll be Deltarune Sunday, Final Fantasy XIV Monday, Deltarune Tuesday. No, wait. Yeah, Deltarune Tuesday. Let me look at the schedule real quick.
I'm so glad that Deltarune hit right for you. I don't know if I would have been able to handle it emotionally if you'd have come away from it saying it was just okay.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's very good. Thank you. Yeah, Deltarune Tuesday. I'll be trying out competitive Pokemon on Wednesday. Trying out VGC with the team that I assembled on Pokemon Showdown and have been building in the week and a half since.
And I will be there.
And then Thursday is Indeterminate, probably Phoenix Wright. And Friday will be To the Moon for a patron. So yeah, that'll be it for today. Thank you guys.
From what I understand about that game, I'm just going to give a preemptive enjoy crying.
I hope so. I like games that move me.
I am. At some point, you will reach a point in Final Fantasy XIV where you will hear me sob.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, that game definitely has points where I just had to put my step away from my keyboard and just kind of stand up and walk away for a while and go.
Especially regards to one set.
Anyway, stop!
No, I wasn't that.
God's sake, you people!
They just care a lot.
I'm not as bad as Danny.
I am
That's
in
my
love
one
with this
consolation
character.
in this world.
Yeah, but like,
It is not healthy.
My one consolation in the world is that I'm better than Danny about it.
the fact that I met Lore I met Lore initially to be his ass screener or his ass blog really shaped the dynamic that the have in the conversations.
I never go too far. I always stop just as you're about to tell me to stop. I know Law's limits.
All right. Anyway.
Meanwhile, I've just gotten good at not saying shit.
All right, well, that's going to be it for the stream. If you guys want to say farewell.
All right. Adios, everybody.
I will catch all of y'all on the flip side.
Ciao for now.
Later.
Have fun, stay safe, and be brave enough to be kind.
Yep. See you next year.
Teddy, you're so
Yeah.
fucking wholesome.
I'm just Teddy.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.